Who am I? You sure you want to know?
We haven't even met yet.
One's missing.
How did this asshole get out? Genetic super spider builds drunken web.
I guess the researchers are working on that one.
Because that's what they do when they remove spiders. Instead of taking the little glass box thing that they're in for easy transport, they scoop them out with a mason jar and then go do research on them.
Parker, let's do it.
F***ing genetically enhanced spider bit my f***ing hand. I know where your missing spider is. You think maybe I should get f*** it. Helpful Science Museum screen gives tidy rundown of the powers Peter Parker will now receive. Also, Sony product placement in a Sony movie. Come on, guys, stop double dipping. Guy who will soon become an accidental supervillain, conveniently already working on supervillainy things prior to the transformation.
Violence, aggression, and insanity.
You diagnosed insanity in a rat?
Norman, the General gave the go-ahead to Quest Aerospace to build a prototype of their exoskeleton design.
Because that's what we normally do in situations like this, tell you exactly where your money is going if you fail and who you can get revenge on later.
I'm already on my ass, mate. When the plant's senior electrician is laid off after 35 years, what else would you call it?
Holy clunky exposition, Batman. Funhouse mirror Tobey Maguire. Guy who will soon become an accidental superhero, conveniently already making drawings and doodles of superhero-y things. Large, alarming spider bite was not on Peter's right hand when he came home, conveniently disguised so that his aunt and uncle couldn't see it, I guess. Also, these symptoms waited all day to manifest until Peter got home.
Combining the genetic information from all...
Convenient audio flashback handholds the audience through the complicated fact that Peter's bite from a super spider is affecting him. You know, Norman Osborn may be a genius, but he's still like, what, 50 years behind Stanley Tucci's scientist from Captain America in the area of super soldier serum research.
Let me reschedule. With the proper medical staff and a volunteer. I mean, if you just give me 2 weeks.
It takes 2 weeks to get that kind of staff? That's just long enough to be pointless. Scientist running out of time and funding tests his theories on himself cliché. Wait, was that one of the abilities the helpful screen told us about? Because I don't see amazing vision on this list, but I guess you can't have a superhero with glasses or contacts, that would just be stupid. Stalking. There's no black Mustang in front of this bus in this shot, but in the next shot, somehow one arrives ahead of the bus.
Dr. Strom is dead. They found his body this morning in the lab.
Unfortunately, billion-dollar defense contractor Oscorp has no cameras or site sign-in security features to determine who might have been at the lab at the time of Dr. Strom's death. Mary Jane is in some kind of danger cliché. Mary Jane just happens to slip right in front of Peter so we can see some of his new abilities. Also, everything that lands on this tray just sticks there without bouncing or obeying any of the laws of motion, because spider powers can also change scientific principles. Nobody f***ing notices this. All the authorities in this school are all outside smoking right now, apparently. Before Peter punches Flash, the crowd circle is completely closed in around him. But when he punches him, Flash goes flying, there's an instantaneous large gap for him to fly through. But in all honesty, Harry and MJ should be smashed like bowling pins. Rubber Peter. Sony saved approximately $2,000 by reusing this same POV shot over the laundry alley twice within 7 seconds. Nobody f***ing notices this! Amateur wrestling ad offers the right amount of money that Peter needs to buy a shitty car. Peter webs the Dr. Pepper can, and then the lamp, and then there's a knock on the door. Hello, Aunt May, and now there's webs all over the fucking place for some reason? Aunt May should totally have been able to see all these webs right here. Also, that lamp he just destroyed is back on the shelf, somehow.
You start fights at school?
I didn't start that fight.
Did Peter get in trouble for that fight? I don't recall any teachers or authority figures within a 10-mile radius of that fight. I guess all that happened off-screen, but on-screen no one gave a shit.
And I know I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
You're not my father cliché. Shady Wrestling League only uses verbal consent instead of actual legal signed consent.
That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
That's racist. Jesus, really? They actually want to murder people at these things? I would also point out that this wrestling bigwig guy should totally remember and recognize Peter once Spider-Man hits the news, but again, they didn't take his signature or even his name, so... Robert decides the amateur wrestling operation. That's where I'll make my score.
What the hell's the matter with you? You let him go!
Cop reprimands citizen for not doing cop's job.
Stay back!
Uncle!
Petty thief randomly shoots and kills Uncle Ben out of all the people in New York City. Just a question, are there any superhero movies where the hero's parents or guardians don't die? Car crash head-on into a steel gate does nothing to hurt the driver. The robber lost his gun here. That's why he pulled out this stupid knife, but then when Peter kicks him, he suddenly has a gun again. Also, this must have surprised him too, because he doesn't even use it on Spider-Man with a clear shot. The police, who were right on this f***er's tail when he arrived at this abandoned building, take forever to find him, allowing Peter to have his revenge. Peter remembers this wrong. Bullshit pipe causes thief to trip and fall through a window so that morally Spider-Man gets his vengeance but didn't straight up kill a guy. The NYPD called on a cop boat to help take down one asshole. Nobody bothered to call Aunt May during all this?
My father got the place in New York, so we're all set this fall.
Odd choice of words. Aren't you already in New York? Or are you doing that Martin Scorsese thing in Quiz Show where Queens is not New York? Unwanted touch in this shot, but not so touchy-feely in the next shot. This article copy-pastes 8 lines of the story from the left column to the right, because no one at Sony had time to write more than a total of 15 lines for the fake news article. Also, Sean Young? Wasn't it John Young in the last article? NYPD fired their spokesperson over this Spider-Man shit? Damn.
He stinks, and I don't like him.
Average, everyday YouTube commenter. He's leaving notes now? What is he, Iron Monkey?
We sold out 4 printings.
Dude trying to convince obvious bottom-line motivated guy the front page story is good waits until the very end to drop his best piece of evidence. Also, we in the audience get to spend a few more seconds in the ADHD funhouse that is J. Jonah Jameson's newspaper office.
The drawer was short $6.
Even though Mary Jane left the diner quite a while ago and was out of sight, her asshole boss somehow expected to see her standing out here and give this embarrassing ultimatum in front of Peter.
Maybe you'll tell me who she is.
Norman plays the pronoun game so that Peter has to ask who the hell he's talking about. Peter gives away his identity with a series of photographs so good, so varied, and so up close and personal that even a child would know that only Spider-Man himself could have taken them. Geez, a movie with this much CGI can't bother to remove the ING Lion logos from the Oscorp building?
After the World Unity Festival.
World Unity Festival.
Let's hear it for Macy Gray!
See, this is what happens when you book a music act for your movie immediately after their debut single, but before actually waiting to see if they'll be a long-lasting star or just fade back into musical obscurity. I mean, honestly, at this point, Macy Gray is probably more well-known for being in this movie than for that Try to Say Goodbye and I Choke song, right? Peter starts taking pictures for no reason at all and somehow lands on Harry and Mary Jane. Then Harry spots Peter in the crowd below. That's some sinful bullshit right there. I know he's getting revenge on the Oscorp people, but is he so mad that he'll potentially bomb his son, too? Mary Jane is in some kind of danger cliche. What's the bigger sin? The terrible aim of the high-tech next-gen glider and its pilot, or the fact that no random citizens were harmed during this machine gun chase? Subway bandits strike again. Where was Spider-Man during that shit?
You should know I'm crazy about her. It's just, you never made a move.
Bro code violation in all 50 states, fucker. I guess Peter's spidey sense just took a day off, didn't it?
Who's the photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man?
So Peter gets money for taking pictures of Spider-Man, but he's not credited in the paper for taking them?
You're an amazing creature, Spider-Man.
Geez, we're only in the first movie and the villain is already trying to team up with someone.
Or we could destroy, cause the deaths of countless innocents in selfish battle again and again and again until we're both dead.
Or you could just kill Spider-Man now. Green Goblin allows time for Spider-Man to think about teaming up rather than demanding an answer now, which would make the decision to kill him a lot easier should he say no.
They said I needed acting lessons.
Urge to make snarky remark so strong right now. 1975 New York City decides to assault Mary Jane. Mary Jane is in some kind of danger cliche. Whoa, this suddenly turned into the best movie ever. Seriously? No time for the mask at all? Also, wait a minute, he clearly had the mask on when he was on the rooftops a minute ago. I guess he lost it? Masks are always just slipping off people's faces these days. Look, maybe it's an alley so dark that you can't see faces. Maybe it's not. All I know is there appear to be a lot of street lamps on around here, and MJ should totally see Peter's face right now. Man, he managed to put that mask on more quickly than he lost it.
You have a knack for getting in trouble.
Mary Jane doesn't recognize Spider-Man's obvious Peter Parker voice. Scene does not contain an upside-down lap dance.
My baby's in there!
Okay, so what were the responsible adults who were watching the baby doing when the building caught fire? Special effects are special. Did this need to be a surprise? Why didn't Green Goblin just fly around the city and throw a bomb or two to draw Spider-Man out? Also, this must be the only thing happening in New York City right now. Green Goblin took a risk that the subway bandits wouldn't be striking again at this hour.
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
Wrong answer!
Oh my god, what the hell is this? Green Goblin threw a bomb earlier that turned people into skeletons. Not to mention those other really effective, just plain explodey bombs he threw before that. But now in a cramped space, Goblin throws this bull. Look, I'm sorry, Peter should have caught the blood drop, and probably could have done it too. Does he need both hands and both feet to stick to this ceiling? Probably not. As it is, the blood drops to the floor, Norman hears it, and now we're supposed to swallow the fact that Peter ran across the ceiling, out the window, and underneath the balcony without making one noise. Green Goblin failed to remove Spider-Man's mask earlier in the film when he kidnapped him so that we could enjoy this scene of realization finally kicking in, and also to add about 20 minutes to the total runtime.
Those eyes! Those horrible yellow eyes!
Aunt May says just enough before Peter is thrown out to give him all the info he needs.
You're not Superman, you know.
DC Comics. Mary Jane is in some kind of danger cliche.
Let die the woman you love, or suffer the little children.
We interrupt this Spider-Man movie to bring you the hero has to choose moment from Batman Forever.
We're gonna bring the barge right onto you!
Most convenient barge in the history of barges. Well, that took forever. Also, Green Goblin wastes everyone's time, including the audiences, by not having some bombs ready for this scenario. Oh, bullshit already. She's not Spider-Man, right? Someone has amazing timing and aim to hit the goblin underneath the bridge like this.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us!
New Yorkers band together in a crisis cliche. Finally! How? Okay, one more bomb, right? One more bomb. Oh, you're gonna monologue now, aren't you? Spider-Man suddenly shows strength that he did not show through this entire fight because Green Goblin threatened MJ. Villain's arm thrusts through the rubble and or nuclear waste cliche. As we watch Goblin summon his glider into this mess, I start wondering, where is that sleeping potion he used earlier? Fuck, that was a good weapon.
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
Dude, this is like the millionth time you've opened your mouth and let Spider-Man live.
Oh.
Even though Goblin's glider was clearly shown to have been within inches of his face, he's still allowed to say "oh" for laughs before the glider warps back into the screen. Norman Osborn just happens to get buried in the same cemetery as Ben Parker. Right, because you recognize the kiss, but not the voice. That completely makes sense.
To live a life of responsibility. A life she can never be a part of.
Except by constantly getting kidnapped and requiring rescue. Pizzeria misspells Bleecker on their helmet decals.
I will lose the customer forever to Pizza Yurt.
Did the customer tell you he was going to go to Pizza Yurt if you didn't deliver these pizzas on time? Because that's odd that in all of New York City you worry about only one pizza place taking your business. Peter actually wastes most of his time trying to deliver the pizzas on his moped instead of using superpowers.
Oh! He stole that guy's pizza!
Pizza Sheriff. Asshole who can't work a bungee cord instead pries open one box and somehow slides out one piece of pizza without all the cheese and sliding off. Okay, so Peter comes out of the janitor closet because he had to change out of his Spider-Man outfit, but how did this receptionist miss Spider-Man with a bunch of pizzas walking into the janitor closet in the first place? Mysterious ceiling panel? Or is he Batman? Peter tries to sell a Photoshop picture as a real photo.
Oh!
Watch it, jerk!
Peter apparently attends Assface University.
So, how are things going at Oscorp?
Oh, they're great. I'm head of special projects.
What? How many f***ing years have passed since the last movie? Aunt May later says it's 2. That's nowhere near long enough for Harry, as portrayed in these movies, to ever be anything at Oscorp other than head of half-assing or manager of macking on chicks.
We're about to make a breakthrough in fusion.
Fusion. Man, Hollywood really knows how to jump on the bandwagon and ride it for decades, don't they?
We're actually funding one of your idols, Pete. Otto Octavius.
I'm writing a paper on him.
I know! What a crazy coincidence!
Hey, you're still here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the house where you got verbally abused and shit. Why the fuck would you stick around after the party to hang there?
Intelligence is not a privilege, it's a gift. And you use it for the good of mankind.
You might even say that with great intelligence comes great... Oh, f*** it.
Did Beethoven sleep before he wrote the Fifth?
Did Bernoulli sleep before he found the curves of quickest descent?
Brown-nosing.
He was studying science, and I was studying English literature.
And I was trying to explain the theory of relativity.
Wow, that must have been one hell of an opening line to talk to a girl. Hello, my name is Otto Octavius. Measurements of various quantities are relative to the velocities of observers. I'm going to a symposium on quantum mechanics later. You should come.
If you want to get a woman to fall in love with you, feed her poetry. Never fails.
It fails. The f*** is he doing? He already turned down Mary Jane because he's Spider-Man and could still have her if he wanted, but now he's brushing up on poetry because... Also, Peter reads poetry aloud in a laundromat. Peter's spidey sense is blissfully unaware of danger 30 feet behind him. There were a lot of cop cars behind Peter when he made this leap, but all the traffic in this lane is gone when he lands so that he could have a cute moment with these kids.
His voice alone inspires one with absolute credulity.
Discount actress. Wrestler announcer guy from the first movie decided to pursue his dream of being a theater usher in the second.
Your time has expired.
Peter was only talking for 1 minute, but the payphone requests more money anyway. Otto skips over his f***ing miraculous cerebellum-attached smart bionic arm invention to get to what ultimately is his failed fusion reactor experiment.
I developed this inhibitor chip to protect my higher brain function.
Another miraculous invention glossed over like it's nothing. What other world-changing inventions has Otto created and tossed aside in his path to fusion? Now, wearing the inhibitor chip gives a person cancer, so I had to cure that before I could proceed with my research.
It's only a spike!
Brilliant, thoughtful scientist thinks that this is just a spike.
What are you doing?
Couldn't Spidey have slung a bunch of webs and unplugged the fusion reactor? Or why didn't he just kind of walk over and unplug them, rather than jumping to the ceiling and announcing it? With great power comes great shards of glass that will kill your wife. Otto's wife looks good for someone who got glassed in the face. We interrupt the Spider-Man movie to bring you Revenge of the Sith. This bank offers a free toaster for opening an account with $300 in it. What is this, the 50s? Peter just happens to be at the bank when Doc Ock decides to rob it. Man in sunglasses, hat, and long dark trench coat stands staring at the bank vault for way longer than any bank would allow without some kind of security checking it. Also, do banks just have their huge safe in public view? Aren't those usually tucked in the back somewhere? Spidey sense is kinda gone, isn't it?
Oh, that boy of yours is a real hero.
Irony. What the hell kind of bank keeps gold coins loose in bags in their vault? Those f***ing things are chocolates. Peter's powers go out during the bank fight, enough to further his own self-doubt, but return just in time to keep him from actually getting killed because of their absence. Random victim is not random.
Hand her over!
Of course! Because this can't be a ruse at all. Man, it's a good thing she brought this umbrella, even though it's the sunniest day ever, and that she remembered it when she fled the bank, and that she never dropped it during Doc Ock's kidnapping.
Thank you.
Aunt May is grabbed by Dr. Octopus, but we never hear him climb up to her level, which is impossible when he has 4 metal claws grabbing into brick to climb the building. Alright men, that old lady and the vigilante are out of the way. Open fire on that bad guy and the apartment building full of people behind him.
We sure showed him.
You sound exactly like my nephew. It would explain a lot. But f*** it. Mary Jane just happens to be dating J. Jonah Jameson's son.
But my best friend, who cares so much about me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa there. Maybe they're best friends in the comics or some shit, but in these movies, they haven't come close to establishing any kind of best friend relationship.
And I just want you all to know that the beautiful Miss Mary Jane Watson has just agreed to marry me.
This is what we call an orgy of evidence that Peter's life sucks ass right now. I mean, this is a nasty spill, and if the webs aren't working, wouldn't the super strength also be failing? Even with super strength, can you survive a fall like this? Later, he tries to climb the wall and falls, and his vision starts sucking. But strength, all good. Peter took this newspaper from the dumpster all the way home just so Sam Raimi could have this cool little transition shot. These blurry extras are all smiling and watching Tobey Maguire do this silly walk take. Real New Yorkers did not stop and stare at silly walkers.
Borderline is tau equals 0. The eigenvalues are
0.23 electron volts.
Nothing's
Cheesy freeze frame. Mary Jane didn't even hail this cab. The driver doesn't even look like he knows she's about to get in.
Give you $50.
I could get more than that on eBay.
All right, 100.
This guy accepts a measly $100 for the Spidey costume because Jonah and the movie just usher him out without an argument. 1977 New York City attacks a guy in broad daylight with thousands of people walking by. Well, there used to be thousands of people walking by, but they cleared out so Peter could reflect on his goals and ideals.
Where are you?
Harry's obsession with finding Spider-Man never included following Peter around or having him followed. Also, Harry thinks he can find Spider-Man by tracking him via newspaper article.
Your father only obsessed over his work.
Discount Alfred Pennyworth.
Kill Spider-Man. We'll give you all the tritium you need.
Or you could just torture Harry now and get it that way. Oh no, Spider-Man 1 got spliced into this movie.
We just can't find the daughter.
Someone's child is in the burning building cliché. This doorknob would be scalding hot in a burning building. The no-powered Peter Parker holds onto a ledge while carrying a kid, and this movie's suspension of disbelief. Are you f***ing kidding me?
Some poor soul got trapped on the 4th floor.
Oh no, if only Peter still had the powers of Spider-Man, he could totally have not saved that guy anyway.
Where are all my comic books?
Oh, those dreadful things. I gave those away.
Aunt May is a Philistine.
Henry and I agree. We don't see his picture in the paper anymore.
Was there a chance you might disagree about that?
Kids like Henry need a hero. Courageous, self-sacrificing people.
Diabetics having a sugar low have been known to pop this scene of the movie in to help give their glucose levels a boost. Surely there's a safer way for Peter to figure out if he can be Spider-Man again. Like that time in the first one where he was just trying to climb a wall or spin a web. I guess Peter never needed Spidey powers to survive falls like this.
I'm back on the moon.
Wow, lucky for Peter and MJ that his powers just happened to start working again 1 second before they were both crushed by a car. Also, Doc Ock throws a motherfucking car at the one guy he needs to get his precious tritium. How did Dr. Octopus know that Peter would be here? So Doc Ock threw a car from some hidden place around where these people are running with perfect accuracy into a coffee shop that he should have had no idea Peter was actually in? That should definitely have killed him. Mary Jane is in some kind of danger cliché. Even though Peter's mind believed that he was no longer Spider-Man, the power of boners is stronger. Well, I won't be needing these ever again for any reason forever and ever. Hey guys, quick question. Where is this web attaching itself when Spider-Man swings over to this clock tower? Ah, the downtown Manhattan elevated train. They shot this movie half a century ago, you know? Or in Chicago. Doc Ock throws one person at a time so that Spidey has a chance to save them. Doc Ock considers the throwing people off the train idea a failure, when he could have just upped the ante by throwing more people. He's got 4 claws, he could throw 4 people and at the same time, rather than that 1-by-1 bullshit.
Any more bright ideas?
During a life or death situation, this guy decides to be a dick to the one guy who can save everyone on the train. That is one great shot of paper football. Jesus imagery.
We found something.
Oh wow, the mask that he tore off while riding on top of the subway 30 blocks ago? Good find.
We won't tell nobody.
Bull. New Yorkers band together in a crisis cliche.
And the tritium?
Oh, that. We keep that in a safe here in the penthouse bedroom/science storage facility. Wait a second. Earlier he was unconscious and then woke up and was so weak that Doc Ock didn't have any trouble taking him prisoner. Now he wakes up from a second coma and suddenly he's fully rested and strong? Like comas are like refilling your health bar or something?
Peter, you killed my father.
There are bigger things happening here.
Just say your father tried to kill me with the blades on his glider and I dodged it and it hit him instead. That's not a very long sentence. Mary Jane is in some kind of danger cliche. This ball of fusion is pulling the building apart and even pulling random taxi cabs and other cars over in the city. But then Spider-Man and Alec take like 5 minutes to get around to stopping it, and somehow the world hasn't evaporated yet. Robotic smart arms have the same weakness as the aliens in Signs.
Sometimes, to do what's right, we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams.
And with great power comes great responsibility. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. Rosebud. Here's looking at you, kid. That escalated quickly. Coffee is for closers only. If only there was some sort of powers I had that I could use to sling you to safety.
The river. Drown it.
Oh wow, the self-sustaining ball of fusion power also has the same weakness as the aliens from Signs. Mary Jane is in some kind of danger cliche. I guess Aunt May was wrong in the first movie. Spider-Man is Superman.
I will always be Spider-Man.
Unless I get depressed or have an identity crisis or whatever it was that caused me to lose my powers in this movie.
I'm alive in you, Harry.
Look, in the first movie, Norman became insane after he tried to inject himself with that serum. But Harry becomes insane because Spider-Man 3 has to happen. Convenient mirror smashing leads Harry to the Green Goblin lair, complete with everything he needs. Where is your f***ing spider sense right f***ing now, you f***ing idiot? Previously on Spider-Man. Also, you know the opening credit sequence is going to be as long as shit when it takes 2 minutes to show footage from the first movie and you haven't even gotten to the second movie yet. Long as shit opening credit sequence is more than 3 minutes long. Yet another f***ing baby saved from another burning building. Thank God we didn't actually see it again.
Parker? You got something to add?
Dumbass professor can't see the glaring reflection of light that Peter is shielding his eyes from. This is the Mary Jane Watson career path to acting stardom. Perfume billboard ads, stage play, third billing in a Broadway musical. For someone who can't sing for shit, this is an interesting strategy. Two fat guys sit next to the smaller put-upon main character and squish him cliche.
They say that falling in love is wonderful.
All the seats are still filled in the theater after this opening lyric. Where is Harry Osborn's handlebar mustache? He could be twirling it right now.
I need to talk to you. Explain things.
Things I could have easily explained in one short sentence back when you first found out I was Spider-Man, but had to delay saying so that this movie we're in right now could even exist.
You see, when the sound waves, they propagate, then it's like an...
You are such a nerd.
She said it. We didn't. Terrible student from the first film has grown smart enough in a handful of years to be building hover gliders and perfecting chemical serums and shit. Webhammock. 3 shooting stars in a row? Are you f***ing kidding me?
I'd like to sing on stage for the rest of my life.
Good luck with that one. Also, don't say your wishes out loud, you stupid idiot. No wonder you end up getting fired. Venom's space projectile conveniently lands a few yards from Peter, allowing the rest of this movie to happen. Secret of the Ooze. Also, evil shit from space? It's one thing to create supervillains from hubris, but now alien life? What's next, the leprechaun? After the Harry serum scene and the Venom scooter attachment scene, we definitely need to go straight into yet another villain setup scene. Unobservant cops are unobservant. Flint Marko waits all of 2 car lengths before popping out of his hiding spot to watch the cops drive away. Unlocked child's bedroom window in a sketchy part of town. Also, sick child cliche. Also, all the letters he sent got returned cliche. Cops looking for escaped convict wait a good while before checking his wife and kid's house. Peter woke his aunt up at 2:10 in the morning. Peter is a dick to ants.
And this ring, dazzling, in front of me. I thought it was the sun.
Oh no, you didn't.
We'd been married 50 years.
If it wasn't for you. Well, I don't know how Harry knew that Peter would be driving his moped around at this hour on this street, but action time. Also, Peter's spidey sense needs to get fired. Oh, come on, that thing fell and bounced and is definitely lost forever. If you're gonna say the ring wants to be found because it has a mind of its own, then it should never fly out of his control in the first place. Oh wait, this isn't The Hobbit, is it? Is this movie saying he's already healed in 3 minutes, or is the movie saying these blades that made him scream didn't actually break the skin? Super serum must make you invincible. I thought it just made you strong and fast.
He just broke out of Rikers.
Why were all the letters he wrote to his daughter from Wrightstown, New Jersey? Rikers is in the Bronx.
He's on the run. He's in the marshlands. I think we got him.
Cop waits until fugitive is nearly captured to tell police captain there is even a fugitive in the first place. Also, we couldn't catch him when he was at his family's apartment, but we think we got him now in the marshlands. You know, the second most obvious place to find a fugitive. Flint apparently had no issue with the razor wire on the top of this fence. This particle physics lab leaves open spaces in the ground so that any f***ing thing can fall into it. Also, even though it's supposedly dark outside, it looks bright enough that Flint should have seen this huge hole before falling in. The best particle physics tests take place at 3 in the morning.
There's a change in the silicon mass.
Yeah, it's probably a bird. It'll fly away when we fire it up.
And this is me giving you the bird. Police chasing the guy are far enough behind to miss the whole damn incident cliche.
He's gotta be okay. But there's been some memory impairment. Particularly short-term memory.
Wow, what are the odds?
Is it permanent?
It could be. Only time will tell.
It sounds like Harry has screenwriter's discretion disease.
My father, he died, right?
Harry conveniently loses his memory all the way to the most crucial moment so that he and Peter can be friends again.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to ask you guys to scoot, okay?
What an asshole. This is a pretty awesome sequence, actually, but did the science people conduct an experiment on this sand and then just go home immediately without checking on the effects of said experiment? Wait, how did the locket survive the particle physics thing? Shouldn't Flint be part locket right now? Damn, this goo hitched a ride on the back of Peter's motorcycle and then just decided to crash at his place for a while. Does it have a plan to infect Peter Parker, or does it just need a place to stay?
What is that thing doing in my background?
This guy says this before the thing in question actually comes into view in the background in the next shot. Also, there's club music blaring and the photographer is straight out of Zoolander, but this isn't a high-fashion shoot. It's not even a high-energy shoot. It's a photo shoot for a print ad for a photocopier. Gwen Stacy just happens to be in the building where Spider-Man needs to save the day. Polite debris. Gwen has nothing to hold on to in order to prevent this fall, but everyone can be Spider-Man in this universe.
I work at the Daily Bugle, and I'm dating your daughter.
But this series of unbelievable coincidences doesn't matter right now. I'm just here to take pictures. Movie unintentionally inspires the cheesy turning of the crane sequence in unnecessary rights-related reboot 5 years later. Man, people are taking an orgy of pills in this movie. First we have Flint's daughter, and then there was Aunt May, and now Jonah. This movie subliminally wants me to take drugs, doesn't it? I know Sam Raimi loves his brother, but I don't. Also, who the f*** are these girls? Are they like newspaper slogan pitch meeting cheerleaders? Wow, they gave Stan Lee actual dialogue. I like his cameos better when he's silently listening to headphones or nearly getting squashed by falling debris.
We always appreciated how you helped me through high school.
See, Harry is f***ing dumb. They fired her from the show, but security didn't get the memo any sooner than Mary Jane did.
What is she doing here? Well, Gary was supposed to call her agent.
Gary was supposed to call her agent cliche. Couldn't the critics just be okay with Mary Jane so that this didn't bog down the movie? Also, how can Mary Jane's talent agency be so terrible they don't forward the message that she's been fired from the play, but be so f***ing insanely good as to land her the gig in the first place when she can't sing for shit?
One critic?
No, all the papers, dear.
So, do Broadway shows really fire lead actresses after one performance if the reviews are bad enough? And if they do, how did the directors and the producers of that show get any work ever again, considering they just publicly outed themselves as absolutely terrible at judging singing talent? There's no way Mary Jane would think this applause is for her, since everyone is facing the other way towards Spider-Man right now. Also, I know we want Mary Jane to have a shitty moment here, but these people all start clapping way the hell before any of them could have known Spidey was about to swing by. Also, New York City, city of 10 million, where any coincidence you dream up is possible, including Spider-Man swinging by to a standing ovation just as Mary Jane finds out she's fired. Sandman just happens to be near a sand truck when the cops identify him. Jeez, was this cop gonna try and murder Flint with a shovel? Fire! Are you f***ing kidding me? Also, there's the NYPD again, firing wildly at an occupied building in the middle of the day.
Shazam!
No, wrong comic book property. He's with DC now.
Go ahead, lay one on me.
Peter is a dick to his girlfriend. Sandman conveniently flies past the Spider-Man Key to the City celebration on his way to rob an armored car. The wrestling announcer turned theater usher from the first 2 movies now lives his lifelong dream of being a maitre d'.
You have no idea how I feel right now.
I know exactly how you feel.
Oh look, Peter and MJ are having the same argument. Still, it's not a Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie without a scene of Peter leaving an answering machine message for MJ while MJ stands there listening.
Originally, we thought that this man, Dennis Carradine, was your husband's killer. We were wrong.
We captured a guy we think actually did it, but we never told you until he escaped from prison.
Turns out Mr. Carradine was only an accomplice.
To the robbery of the wrestling match? This movie is already too damn long, and now here's a 10-minute scene that wouldn't remotely be necessary if we weren't trying to literally rewrite the previous movies just to make this movie's plot make sense. So, Carradine robbed an amateur wrestling operation, ran out, and then had to go find his accomplice, who was supposed to steal some car somewhere so they could get away? Carradine didn't need any help with the robbery? What the plan is that? Man, it's about time this goo paid rent, right? Also, Venom can.
Don't let any of that get on you. It has the characteristics of a symbiote, which needs to bond to a host to survive.
Or hang out in an apartment for a week getting stoned, or whatever goo does. All bad guys can tell when Spider-Man is sneaking up on them, cliche. Flint Marko has the same weakness as the aliens from Signs. Good thing for him it hasn't rained yet in this movie.
Good riddance.
Dude, mud gets dry again at some point. There's really no reason to just assume off the bat that Flint Marko will never be seen again. Hell, you only just found out water was his weakness 10 seconds ago. Are you absolutely sure you understand how his sand properties work? Character must have a forced physical change to parallel their emotional change cliché. We interrupt this Spider-Man movie to bring you something that has no business whatsoever in a Spider-Man movie.
I've fallen in love with someone else.
Seriously, there's no reason whatsoever why Mary Jane would do this. She would, in reality, say, hey, Harry's gonna try and kill you, and he wants me to pretend to break up with you to hurt your feelings first. Go kick his ass because you're f***ing Spider-Man and he's f***ing Harry, and you nearly killed him the last time and you weren't even ready for that fight. End of movie. Roll credits. Fuck. What? Dude, Peter, he's obviously in the cafe bathroom or possibly crawling around on the floor of the cafe. Those are the only two options. Harry Osborn is not capable of disappearing completely in a whisper like Batman. And if we're being honest here, I mean truly f***ing honest, Batman shouldn't be able to do it either. But at least that motherfucker's an actual trained ninja and shit. Geez, Spider-Man can't sneak up on anyone. Well, here we are, 45 minutes of the movie left. Peter and Harry are now fighting over a woman. We haven't met Venom yet, and Sandman is still out there. They've got a lot to establish and wrap up in the length of a Law & Order episode. These girls are looking at Peter like he's a jackass, which he is, but strangely, the secretary at the newspaper actually does want to f*** emo Peter. Oh shit, I forgot all about Flint Marko. Oh, wait, no, only Peter did. And I guess Sam Raimi for the last 30 minutes of the movie. And oh look, despite the fact that he has nothing but particles of sand drifting through the sewer water, he was able to still hold onto that locket somehow. I am watching Spider-Man, right? Did I walk into the wrong auditorium? Hey, it's raining. I hope Flint Marko grabbed an umbrella somewhere. Brock just happens to go to church at the same time Spidey goes to church to deal with his identity crisis. Yeah, Brock, bells are a completely strange noise to hear in a church. You should totally act shocked that you heard a bell and then go check it out. Damn, you can just go anywhere in this church, especially if the plot needs you to be Venom for the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Parker.
There is no way that he sees this is Peter from all the way down here. Here's what this movie needed, a third villain. Sandman was waiting for Spider-Man in a random alley somewhere.
I want to kill the spider. You want to kill the spider.
Villains team up to kill a hero cliché. Creepy Uncle Newscaster.
The hostage has been identified as Mary Jane Watson.
Mary Jane is in some sort of danger cliché. Also, is this the Exposition News Network?
We're now going to take you live to the scene.
Now that I've spent 5 minutes setting the stage, gee, I hope none of the details I just listed have changed during the time it took me to list all those details.
The blade that pierced his body came from his glider.
What? Does this f***ing guy have short-term memory loss too? Why did he wait like 3 to 5 years to tell Harry this shit? Also, I know that because in my spare time, I'm an expert forensic scientist.
Oh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I'm talking about.
This movie doesn't even know what you're talking about, but good boner reference. Goblin Ex Machina. So here's Goblin flying from behind a building, so from where did he throw that bomb? Did he throw it and then go hide somewhere?
Films extra.
This little girl was setting up this burn for quite a while then because she was pantomiming taking photographs long before he tried buying her camera. Venom takes several minutes off from this fight just to chill and regain his strength or something, I guess. He's certainly not on camera for a good 5 minutes or more. Yeah, but since he's made up entirely of sand and can keep bonding himself back into one piece, what the f does this actually mean?
Eddie, the suit, you gotta take it off.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Why doesn't he just kill Spider-Man now? It's not like Eddie has ever been a good person this entire movie. What kind words are going to appeal to him now that he's Venom?
My daughter was dying. I needed money.
So, naturally, I robbed the underground wrestling cash register.
Then I saw my partner running over with the cash. And the gun was in my hand.
So now we're back at the horseshit story about Flint killing Ben, but now no one is responsible for killing Ben? It was an accident! Everyone is good!
I'm not asking you to forgive me.
Good, because you're still kind of a bad person.
Whatever battle we have raging inside us, we always have a choice. My friend Harry taught me that. He chose to be the best of himself.
Only after finding out you didn't kill his father.
Hide-and-seek scene does not end with Peter finding 2019 Samara Weaving in a bloody white dress carrying a shotgun.
Dad?
And this whole Peter's parents are spies subplot reminds me of this really fun storyline in the early 90s in The Amazing Spider-Man, where Peter's parents show back up after having been missing all his life, and they end up not actually being his parents, and the whole thing is a ruse set up by the Chameleon. But this also reminds me we've never gotten the goddamn Chameleon, Spider-Man's first major villain, as an antagonist in any of these Spider-Man films. And yeah, he's gonna be in that Kraven the Hunter movie, but that doesn't count. You know it, Sony. The shot makes sense because we want to see little Peter eavesdropping, but where did he come from? That corner behind the TV? How and when would he have snuck back there? This Peter placement suggests he at some point ran across this open hallway to get behind the TV and none of the adults noticed. And I'm just curious why they didn't do the typical child is halfway down the dark staircase listening to the adults downstairs who are arguing cliche and get on with it.
Doesn't like crust on his sandwiches. He likes to sleep with a little light on at night.
Needy kids.
Be good.
Dad's last words to little Peter are, "Be good," and you do not even know how much trauma that would cause a child. This movie skips that and goes straight to the spider bite, but imagine if it had spun the guilt of not living up to Dad's last words into his motivation for being Spider-Man. That could have been cool. Instead, it just dumps his motivation all on the once again dead Uncle Ben.
You want to keep that skateboard?
Peter Parker somehow can't help but skateboard inside the high school hallways, which seems stupidly impulsive and selfish. It's worth pointing out that Peter Parker stops here to take Gwen's picture without her permission, but when we made a stupid horny wishful lap dance joke about this moment, everybody lost their minds. Mind you, they've only rebooted this franchise a couple times, but I don't know why they always have to start back at high school Peter. We really need to see his origin again, and he doesn't even meet Gwen in the comics till college. And these two look like they're in their mid-20s. Gwen even has a college-level intern job at Oscorp. Why is this high school?
I'm making spaghetti and meatballs tonight.
Spaghetti again? Don't stretch yourself so hard, Aunt May. I feel bad you spent so much time letting the water do all the work.
I fell. Skating.
Being this bad at lying. Wasting a perfectly good steak by adhering to an outdated idea that cold steaks help heal black eyes and other wounds more quickly by drawing out the bad items in the black eye, when in reality it was just cold and served as a really expensive ice pack. Frozen bag of peas does the job at 1/15 the cost. Ice pack is even better. This movie was released in 2012, and that is way too recent to be wasting steaks like this. I don't care if the freezer's shorted out due to the flooding. You go upstairs and remove everything from the freezer that is not steak, and you put all these steaks in there, and here ended the lesson. Richard Parker!
God, you look just like him.
He does not. With someone's finished Rubik's Cube without explicit consent.
She's pretty.
Uncle Ben points out the attractiveness of Gwen Stacy, instead of explaining to Peter why it's super stalkery and creepy that he has multiple photos of her on his computer. As curious and technologically gifted as Peter is, I'm finding it hard to believe he has never binged his dad before, so I find it almost impossible to believe he has never come across the name and picture of Kurt Connors prior to now. Also, 10 years later, and we're still giving a ding to Bing.
Got it.
Okay, Mr. Guevara.
Peter is able to waltz into a highly secretive lab like Oscorp and grab a name tag, and no one asks him for his ID first.
Where I go, you go. That's the basic rule.
Wait, where you go, they are obligated to go by rule? Because if you stop to use the restroom, things are going to get complicated pretty quickly. The woman at the front desk had an awkward encounter with Peter, and I'm pretty sure this name would be familiar enough to her to at least look into the possibility that this screaming kid is indeed Rodrigo Guevara. Seriously, did nowhere in NYC in 2012 check driver's licenses or some form of identification?
I'm a scientist, and I'm the world's foremost authority on herpetology. That's reptiles, for those of you who don't know.
Herpetology is the study of reptiles, but it's not only the study of reptiles. It's also the study of amphibians, and Dr. Kurt Cockings would absolutely know that. Am I being picky? Yes, I am. Also, welcome to the channel. This must be your first time. Hope you try the banana bread before you leave.
I want to create a world without weakness.
Referring to disabilities as weaknesses. I love how all these scientists are like, yep, totally normal that a tour group left the room and one of its students is loitering around. Heads down, chaps. Science on. While I am skeptical that Peter could have seen this from this distance and recreated the pattern perfectly later himself, I'm going to choose to sin that the super secret, probably illegal wing of Oscorp has a single dual pattern with your finger security checkpoint. No fingerprints, no retinal scan, no physical key, just discount kindergarten Simon Says. So Oscorp is clearly mass studying the strength of spiderwebs, but no one who works here can see Spider-Man later and put 2 and 2 together? Also, willingly entering a room full of thousands of spiders. Peter lets a metric ton of spiders fall on him before he moves toward an exit.
Norman Osborn is dying, Dr. Connors. Save him. We both lose our heads.
Or, and hear me out here, just let him die. And then he can't take your heads, and now you guys are in charge. You can't tell me the board of this company has charged an executive and a researcher with saving the life of the company founder, or else you're fired. No one whips out a phone and starts recording this, thereby forever proving who the future Spider-Man is.
Going out the next stop.
Holy shit, a long way from home in Queens, and he apparently got on the wrong facing train after his bug bite. And yep, he ran home. Peter's new abilities utterly f*** up this bathroom, and I'm not sure it ever comes up again. Peter uses Bing to search for information about spider bites when he knows full well he was bitten by a unique and genetically altered spider, and therefore Bing will not have any more answers for him than it has for anyone who uses Bing for any other search. Where do we go from here? No one bats an eye here. If I saw a person do this in real life, I would set myself on fire and run around screaming, "Nothing is real, and this is all a simulation!"
He's got you on his computer. I'm his probation officer.
What Martin Sheen had to tell all of Charlie's friends in high school somehow makes its way into the script.
No, I didn't get expelled. I got community service.
That's funny, because the movie is going to basically suggest his Spider-Manning is his community service, but the movie will never again return to this punished. Wait, how the f*** can a school principal order a teenager to community service? While Peter struggles to flirt, I'm just curious why this school has no hall monitors. And Peter got in trouble and went to the principal's office, but what the f*** is Gwen doing out of class right now? The skateboard jump from 20 feet up somehow does not break the board in two upon impact.
Well, others disagreed. You know, what if the device were loaded with a toxin?
Which seems like a very fair and cautious thought process. So why is the machine still even at Oscorp? Why not destroy it? The legal implications are so stark, I'm shocked you kept this thing.
Many of these wonderful creatures have so brilliantly adapted that they can regenerate entire limbs at will.
Regeneration in a lizard is an automatic process. There is no will involved. This would be like saying humans grow fingernails and hair at will.
Enter the algorithm now.
Oh, this is not a tour, it's a robbery of Peter's formula, and it's going to sort of work. But Peter signed nothing to protect his IP rights here as the inventor of the process, and I've seen The Spanish Prisoner enough times to know that the inventor largely gets the shaft.
You need to take that.
And then Peter pushes the green accept call icon instead of the red hang up icon, and yet the call hangs up. Holy f***. But also, he was supposed to pick up Aunt May tonight at 9, and somehow Dr. Connors has stayed up here working with a teenage high schooler on some advanced genetic math because he's desperate to grow a new arm, and also he doesn't know who the f*** Aunt May is. And Peter should answer this f***ing call, but also why is this doctor dude keeping a high school kid up here this late at night all alone?
You owe your aunt an apology. Big time.
I'm not sure overdoing an apology is going to come off as very sincere.
Peter, come back here, please.
I was so concerned about Peter not picking you up and leaving you alone walking in the New York City streets at night that I'm now going to leave you home alone with the front door completely useless and anyone could come in and do whatever they wanted.
You can leave a penny. You can't take a penny.
A lot of horrible things happen right after this, and Peter is being a total dick, but this guy also 100% deserves to be robbed.
Hey, kids, little help?
Not my policy.
Changing this scenario from the comics and the first Raimi film is fine in theory, but the logic of the store clerk doesn't jibe with the logic of the guy who owned the wrestling joint. Does this guy really expect a high school kid to run down a thief who could be carrying a gun and who knows what else? At least in the wrestling scene, they don't know Peter is just a kid, and they just watched him manhandle a professional wrestler. They're trying to stick a square spider in a round hole, and I don't like it.
Someone call an ambulance, Uncle Ben! Uncle Ben!
This scene is a lot less sad if you imagine he's literally asking the rice company to come and save the dying person in front of him. Like Ricky Bobby scatter shooting his pleas to all the gods, including Oprah Winfrey and Tom Cruise. Like, Uncle Ben, Mrs. Fields, Chef Boyardee, Duncan Hines, please come help me. Food brands named after people.
Here's one other thing. He has a star tattooed on his left hand.
Which I'm telling you on the off chance you have recently been bitten by a radioactive spider and now possess superhuman strength and are thinking about scouring the streets every night looking for him. Also, that tattoo is on his wrist and not his hand. Police should be a little more specific if they want to be helpful. This police sketch is objectively hilarious. All we can really learn from this sketch is that the dude had long hair. This looks like a poster for They Live. This looks like Brad Pitt.
Feels better, right? Like your uncle died. I'm sorry.
Flash is definitely a dick most of the time, but this movie really does a great job at giving the character multiple layers. It also causes Peter to come off more like a dick, and for a while, he's extremely unlikable, which is not a great trait for your protagonist to have.
You like beating on girls?
This whole Peter goes out every night to try and find the man with the tattoo feels a lot more in line with Batman than Spider-Man. But what's even stranger is that once the lizard starts wreaking havoc, this storyline is dropped and never brought back up, even in the terrible sequel. So this guy is still out there, presumably. Peter eventually doesn't care to even find him anymore. I'm not sure if that makes Peter less or more of a nephew, but it's weird. I mean, that's not really saving the guy, and if he did have the tattoo, Peter was just going to let him fall to his death? Peter falls into a wrestling arena, and does every film adaptation of Spider-Man have to do the whole wrestling inspiration for the costume thing? All right, we have a shaded lamp in the background, a desk lamp in front of him that is pointed at the laptop, and a laptop, which might be providing some ambient light, but what the light source is shining bright on his left shoulder and bicep? Does he have a floodlight up in the corner above the closet door? Like, if your webs don't work right here, then you're basically wearing Hudsucker. At least Toby tested this 2 or 3 stories high and not skyscraper level. No one sees this in New York City during the day.
Oh, come on. You know better than anyone that the weight of the bob on any pendulum has no effect on swing speed.
This makes no sense. Maybe Peter found this guy and decided to wait for a cute gotcha moment in a stolen car, despite his anger boner over this guy's possible killing of Uncle Ben. Then I guess he realizes this dude is casing a valet lot, breaks into the car himself first, just so he can surprise the thief in style. The only other option is that he snuck in there back in the front of the restaurant when the key handoff was made to the valet, but someone definitely would have seen him in that case. Crotch! What the...
Knock it off, man!
This version of Spidey also leans harder into his trolly sense of humor than the other versions have. This f***ing crazy cop shoots at Spider-Man, who's right in front of the webbed-up car thief the cop thinks is an innocent victim. He almost killed that guy.
Hey, watch out! I'm swinging here!
I was thinking I would sin the ridiculous idea that Peter would be old enough to have any knowledge of Midnight Cowboy, but he does have that damn Rear Window poster in his bedroom, and to be honest, that poster still bugs the shit out of me, so let's send that instead.
So, 38 of New York's finest versus one guy in a unitard.
Casting Dennis Leary in a movie and having his character complain about an establishment cliche.
Look at me, Peter.
This emotional moment brought to you by Jansport.
Cross-species genetics is finally working.
Thanks to a formula from a high school kid that I convinced him to give up without a contract.
You have to start human trials.
Only a profit-minded CEO in a capitalist society would insist on going straight from a single successful rat test amongst dozens of dead rats in the same test to human trials.
I won't.
He will.
Have your office cleared out by the morning.
He only has one arm. This is an unreasonable request.
Do you like Branzino?
Who the f*** would know how to answer this question? I'd never heard of Branzino until I saw this movie. And yes, it is mentioned again in Tom Holland's Homecoming, and that's hella weird, but my point here is that no regular Queens high school boy would have an answer for a first-world question like this. Villain only becomes a villain because they touch their shaky science on themselves cliché.
Your doorman's intimidating.
It's 20 stories.
That excuse should not work. No doorman is so intimidating that you would rather climb 20 flights of fire escape stairs. Can you really climb up the fire escape like that without other people who live in the building calling the cops?
You have your suit in there?
Gwen expects Peter to have worn a suit to a weeknight dinner at her house without telling him to. Has she met a high school boy before? Walking into your teenage daughter's room without knocking first.
I'd be like Branzino.
Branzino. Branzino. Hand placentas.
I'm going to Holton Avenue across the river. I'm in a hurry.
Has anyone ever gotten into a cab and said, I'm headed to X location, but I'm hoping you'll take 3 hours to get me there?
Drive.
Dude sees that and then actually starts driving, as opposed to getting out of the car and running away as fast as possible. Peter spends dinner arguing with the police father of the girl he likes because he's super defensive about being Spider-Man, when I would think, and I was led to believe, that his interest in Gwen was substantial enough that he could see the police dad's point of view and choke down his own insecurities for an hour or two, but I guess I was wrong. And because of that awkward argument, dinner is over literally 2.5 minutes after Peter first poked at his fish.
I'm in trouble.
No matter how silly and irritating this movie can be, Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield's on-screen chemistry is f***ing magical. But also, we have no backpack, we have backpack. This Oscorp dick doesn't go flying into the windshield at this point.
Help me, my kid is trapped!
Panicking pony boy proclaims his preteen is on the precipice of peril. He saved the kid! But the kid's dad is the crane guy from later, so is this like kid shadowing? Chekhov's relative? It's not nothing, is all I'm saying. I guess Spider-Man isn't going to check the other dangling cars out. I'm not sure saving one kid and letting several other people fall to their deaths is the best PR strategy, but you do you, Spider-Man. Hey, Gwen, meet me on the bleachers during football practice after school. It's a natural environment for discussion. Signed, Peter. Also, look at that mud pie of a wrecked track. How is the track this up by rain, but the football field is fine? This is some legendary rain damage here, folks. They can't host a track meet here for months. Movie has no concept of physics if it thinks a hard-thrown football could bend a goalpost like this, but then again, movie is in love with Emma Stone, so it's likely to do some stupid things along the way.
How would a predator track a reptile?
It's insane enough that Peter would be asking the question about the lizard to the actual lizard without knowing Dr. Connors is the lizard. But considering Peter knows Dr. Connors is experimenting with cross-species genetics, and Peter has just helped him synthesize a potential serum for this to take effect, why wasn't Dr. Connors #1 on Peter's suspect list?
I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I have a new project I'm working on. I need to be alone.
But instead, what happens is Dr. Connors leaves and Peter hangs back and snoops around and discovers that Connors is in fact the lizard. Peter doesn't even have to be sneaky about it. Connors just leaves him there. That's some of the bullshittiest bullshit ever. How did he get all his shit down here? This is a full lab in the sewer. How and why is there even enough electricity hookups down here? Why is there a huge flat lab-sized platform?
Dosage has been increased. to 200 milligrams.
If at first your serum turns you into a giant lizard for 24 hours, increase the dosage. Why are all the lizards attracted to a giant human-turned lizard in the sewers? This is some Pied Piper shit. It's whack.
You stopped me once.
Did he, though? It was more like Spider-Man kicked you and then you ran away.
Peter Parker.
Between Peter being left in Connor's lab unattended and Peter leaving a camera behind with his f***ing name on it for the lizard to find, this movie relies on more insane luck and stupidity than the entire runtime of Police Academy 4 Citizens on Patrol. When Peter was initially scratched by the lizard, the hand movement was from the top of Peter's chest and then straight down, so why are these scratch marks at a diagonal angle? Correct me if I'm wrong, but they've been on one date, and that was a pretty quick one, because he fought with her dad, and then there was a lizard attack both the dad and Peter had to go stop. How is this low? I refuse to believe that this motherfucker could tell he was under the Midtown Science High School by the look of the sewers.
Left here, take a right here. Yes, I should now be under that high school Peter Parker attends.
The less than stellar CGI look of the lizard really makes you miss the simplicity of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers-esque Green Goblin mask they put on Defoe in Raimi's first Spider-Man film. I can't get service inside Wendy's, but he can take calls in the f***ing sewers.
I spent my life as a scientist trying to create a world without weakness.
Luckily for Peter, Connors has queued this video up to start playing at the exact point he starts talking about his big villain plan.
Gwen! Gwen! You mother Hubbard, are you serious?
The original scripts had versions with him calling her London Bridge and Ring Around the Rosie, but those references were deemed too cerebral. She's a high school student intern. I was suspicious enough that her ID card would let her into the building and the lab after hours, but how and why does she have a code to evacuate the entire building?
It's headed to Oscorp, and your daughter's there right now.
Which is actually my fault, but no need to go into trivial details right now.
Hold your fire!
Not holding your fire.
Spider-Man appears to be heading towards Oscorp. He looks injured, and it's really not clear if he's gonna make it.
Lucky for Spider-Man, though, War of the Worlds 2, the next wave's C. Thomas Howell is watching this convenient news position and also happens to be the guy whose son Spider-Man saved. And he has access to a bunch of cranes in the city that can be perfectly placed to allow Spider-Man to swing his way to Oscorp. It's a Saturnalia miracle. You, that guy was literally down on ground level less than 90 seconds ago. Spider-Man is not a funeral procession. You do not need to stop traffic for Spider-Man. Both of these guys have been shot earlier tonight and are now seemingly at 100%, so I'm not sure why I'm still surprised that they both survived this impact with no injury, but I am. This is a cool shot, but what are we trying to accomplish here? He's Spider-Man. Why are we slowing this down and dramatizing it like he's going to fall to his death? Also, this is as good a time as any to point out that none of the live-action Spider-Man movies have provided anywhere near the leaping off a building thrills and chills that Into the Spider-Verse gave us with the leap of faith. He's going to freeze to death and then explode into bits of icy former lizard? That's a Demolition Man ending, which is weird because Dennis Leary was also in Demolition Man.
I got this, Peter!
He does not got this. Seems silly in 2022 to sin a too many shotgun firings without a reload cliche, but here we are. I appreciate that the fast-acting rehabilitation fog worked and Lizard is saving Peter here, but this is way too much drama about Peter maybe falling when, again, he is Spider-Man.
You're gonna make enemies. People will get hurt. Sometimes people closest to you.
Jesus Christ, man, just say protect my daughter and be done. Then you have a dozen or so more words before you die to say things like, I'm actually gay, or rapid speech high vocabulary comedy is a verbal version of prop comedy.
Leave Gwen out of it.
What does that mean, though? Leave her out of the superheroing? Because that's easy. But the movie makes it seem here in a moment like Peter interpreted that request as dump Gwen and be a dick to her. I'd take off 1,000 sins if in the midst of all these movie funeral black umbrellas, there was a hot pink one. She senses Peter is at the rainy funeral and up on the roof above her. How the f*** did she do that?
My father died.
Duh, I was there.
Everyone was there but you.
Well, he was there, and you even sensed it by looking up. But regardless, why the f*** did Peter interpret Mr. Stacy's instructions to mean he couldn't even publicly be seen at his funeral? She just said f***ing Flash Thompson was there. Peter being there would not raise any suspicion. She is 100% right here, and I'm kind of pissed that she ends up dating him again in the sequel.
I can't see you anymore.
What is the harder thing to believe in this scene? Peter being willing to tell this lie, or Gwen believing it? Why can't he just say, your father made me promise to break up with you to keep you from being targeted by Spider-Man's enemies, and she's gonna figure it out in 10 seconds anyway. That number 36 on the door looks rather weathered and faded, even though it should have been recently painted on, since Peter broke all the glass earlier in the film when he stormed out after he and Uncle Ben fought. Neither of these ladders explain how high up this Spider-Man logo street art begins. Holy f***, that moon is going to crash into the air. Oh wait, that's just the moon in this movie? Did the movie only do partial science, or what? 48 seconds of logos, including Sony filleting themselves twice. The opening shot of this movie is on a watch, and it's Swiss made, so you know it's good. The time is 6:43 p.m., but then the security camera here says it's 21:05, which according to my math means it's 9:05 p.m. That's a full 2 hours and 22 minutes off.
Be good.
Superheroes' parents leave somewhere and die in a Marvel movie cliche. These two are supposedly escaping into the night with secrets so damning they had to literally abandon their son, but they still took a private jet? That's gotta be a company jet, no? Is it possible that by chartering this jet you doomed yourselves through sheer paperwork obviousness? Or did Colonel Jessup doctor these flight logs as well? How exactly did this assassin kill the pilot in a way that would have also put blood directly on his hands? Later we see that he positioned the pilot so as to keep the plane steady, and maybe doing that put blood on his hand. Why didn't he just put that on autopilot? And if you're telling me that he didn't know how to put the plane on autopilot, why not? That would be so much simpler than positioning a dead dude's arms to steady a plane. Man, this assassin guy sure waited a long time to kill the Perkers. If he was sent here for this very reason, to stop them from talking, he nearly done f***ed up. And if the company is one step ahead and has an assassin pilot on board, why even let this plane get off the ground at all? It's cinematic, I suppose, but it makes zero sense.
They say you're a genius.
Why hasn't he killed the Perkers yet? Why does this guy, who is an assassin, have to monologue? This fight scene shot and edited by Turbulence itself. What the Spider-Man movies have always been missing, honestly, is more Air Force One. When people ask me where The Amazing Spider-Man 2 went wrong, I always blurt out the very first scene before they've even finished asking the question. This f***ing plane that is f***ing dive bomb crashing and decompressed with multiple f***ing holes in it does not still have a solid f***ing Wi-Fi signal. This movie exists because the other one exists. Also, did he jump out of a plane? This guy is super high above the ground in a free fall, above super high buildings. I hate everything about the CGI in this shot. You rubber neoed Spider-Man. The director and the prop master had a massive disagreement over the definition of enough rolled up blueprints. The movie tries to out Blues Brothers the Blues Brothers.
I'm sorry, I'm running a bit late. I got stuck in some traffic.
Bad pun aside, not even 5 minutes ago you were swinging around New York City literally asking for some crime to stop. So you were late because you were late and an asshole, not because of this current incident or predicament. Of all the things this movie didn't really have time for, the visions of the dead dad of your girlfriend is the most frustrating. Holy this movie is asking us to believe Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield's characters are only just now graduating high school?
To remind us that time is luck.
You just told us time is valuable and precious because it ends, but time is also luck? That was pretty, but doesn't make much sense to me. Time is only what you make of it, and luck will or won't happen depending on how much God hates you. Spidey spins in midair to avoid the bullets, but I don't know why that matters if you're spraying a hail of bullets at one fixed target.
It makes me not able to live with myself.
Peter would rather keep a promise to a dead guy than live his best life with the woman he loves. That's f***ed up. I'm here to tell you, promises to dead people aren't all that important. Also, breaking up in Chinatown. Also, breaking up in Chinatown was A, the original title of Katy Perry's song Waking Up in Vegas, B, the original title of the Paris Hilton sex tape, C, the original title of the Vince Vaughn, Jennifer Aniston smash hit The Breakup, or D, the original title of Chinatown.
You have done this to me again and again, Peter.
Yeah, totally. Like when you were Kirsten Dunst and he was Tobey Maguire. Skip!
How about that Spider-Man last night on the Manhattan Bridge?
But why should we see that when he's got a nerd to save from a pack of bullies? Oh man, this is so much better than dating Gwen. It's at times like these that I imagine all the time Spidey doesn't save people who are about to get hit by cars, or stop the convenience store robber. These montages always make it seem like he's saving everybody. And how many times does superheroes shop in these places and it just so happens to be the same time he gets robbed? I mean, Jesus. Is it still stalking if it's your girlfriend? Yes! You, movie. She doesn't have Spidey sense too, does she? Note to the commenters, any of you try bringing up Spider-Gwen right now and I will lose my
Give me a second on me, I'm gonna get the door. Just give me a second.
Peter, please just let me in, all right?
The classic Aunt May might find out Peter is Spidey thing happens because Aunt May needs something done with her car. She really needs to get in Peter's room to tell him that, doesn't she? It's so very important. And why is he suddenly struggling to take the suit off? Is it stuck?
That's why you're here. You remember my birthday.
Sometime after Ray, Jamie Foxx started thinking everything he did was rad, and that trend sadly continues to this day.
They should call you the Amazing Spider-Man.
Roll credits moments aside, this Max has an unhealthy obsession with Spider-Man moment just exacerbates how much time this movie wastes getting to the goddamn story. Spidey took out Russian Paul Giamatti at the beginning, he broke up with Gwen, and it's taking a f***ing lifetime to get to the Electro part.
This is my laundry, my home, my machine. Back off. Eat your breakfast.
Hold up. Who serves a lettuce on wheat sandwich for breakfast? Christ, this is a Secret Life of Spider-Mitty. Spider-Man saved people from an apartment fire, part 64.
Out of all the people in the whole city, he saved me.
Yeah, and even let 1 or 2 people die in a horrific car accident in order to save you. I'm still shocked about it.
It's dark in there. Your eyes will adjust.
Every bit of advice my father gave me on wedding night somehow made it into this script.
I don't believe in miracles.
Well, look who's not getting an invite to Hot Chocolate's Summer Jam in Jamaica this year. Jesus Christ. They have all this equipment keeping Norman alive and round-the-clock care, but nobody cut his fingernails, which are f***ing claws now. The camera? Sony. The laptop? Sony. The chairs? Well, probably not Sony, but you get my point.
He is survived by his only son, Harry Osborn.
The only picture we could get of him was when he scowled at the cameras, getting into a black SUV that makes him look villainous. Meanwhile, in the underground Oscorp level, entirely devoted to the study of electric eels. Wait, what? Let's talk about this villain. He gets shocked real bad. So bad, he falls into an electric eel pit. Remember, Oscorp is half aquarium. Gets shocked some more, this time underwater, and that turns him into electricity in liquid and gas form? Shock a guy enough, drop him in water, and he's basically Sandman with water and electricity? This Electro in this specific movie might be the most yada-yada villain of all time. I know more about how Pennywise works than this f***ing guy.
Hey, Harry.
Yeah, let me go visit my old buddy at work after his father died, and he's probably busy as with new Oscorp duties without a single phone call.
10 years. It's 8. Chloe, what's up?
Hold up, Peter just graduated high school. He's 18. 8 years ago, he was f***ing 10. So is this movie saying this is a supposedly strong friendship and they haven't seen each other since they were f***ing 10 years old? The f***? At 18, I didn't even remember my friends from 4th grade, let alone feel any kind of attachment to them.
Dude, that whole model thing is so exhausting.
We didn't have time to show you what great buddies Peter and Harry are and were, so now we're gonna grind this f***ing thing to a halt to show you just that before Harry turns into the Green Goblin. Also, what the hell is this scene? Peter and Harry left the Oscorp estate, which was established to be somewhere near Central Park earlier. Now they're somewhere near the Manhattan Bridge, which is at least 7 miles from that location. Regardless of whether they walked, drove, or took the subway, they've somehow been followed by a surveillance van with Donald Mencken in it, who was at the meeting Harry just left from. How the f*** does Mencken coordinate something like that? And how does Peter not have spider sense working? Also, if they were just going to do a harmless outdoor activity while they talked, why the f*** would these two not just walk to Central Park 2 blocks away and feed the f***ing ducks or something? I like location scouts, but we're either paying them too much or we're not giving them enough information.
You gotta admit, though, things have gotten crazy around here, man. Giant lizards and spider guys.
Cronuts. Max discovers an insane power, but because the movie refuses to acknowledge him as a human being, we get this creation of a monster scene, complete with the man putting on a hoodie to cover up his appearance. The man talked to himself constantly. Don't we want to hear what he has to say about his newfound situation? Even it really is my birthday would have been fine. Cinnable, but fine. I'd play the God's Casio keyboard soundtrack music for Electro here, but I'm a little gun-shy about music these days. Point is, what starts out sounding like Electro's theme as a piece of music ends up being presented as some kind of electronic music he himself is producing on purpose by the end of it. And that is whack. I really wish these two had made it, and the movie characters too.
If we're gonna be friends, I think we gotta establish some ground rules.
Skip all the skips. Every f***ing one of these cars has a car alarm. I thought I skipped this.
Have you been following me?
He has, and yet this is another movie that's going to give me a stalked girl who is charmed by it instead of repulsed. Listen, literally none of the girls I ever stalked were cool with it, but the movie makes it seem all hunky-dory. Sure, you can sense something going on in Times Square when Max is behind it, but you can't figure out when bad guys are recording your conversation with Harry. Have you ever thought your spider sense might be racist? How does he know to save this one guy with all the cars going in different directions? Also, you're saying out of all the cars that just got shot into all the different directions, he's the only asshole to nearly get hit by one? What? Gwen is here? Look how far away that is from where they were eating ice cream. She walked 25 blocks that quickly. And how did she know this was something she wanted to witness? Gwen Stacy being here right now is a lie. Would someone tell me what kind of a world we live in where a man dressed up as a spider steals all of my press? Wow, Spidey Sense just went from being a faint clue about imminent events to a full-on Quicksilver once around the scene before I have to act. And that is some f***ing bullshit.
Now it's time for me to light my candles.
Then a whole bunch of bullshit happens. Something with a fire hydrant, I don't know. Steals all the electricity, sends out a wave of electricity, which physically destroys buildings and like, I am now starting to understand why and how this movie ended up with 9 credited writers.
Do we have visual on Spider-Man?
Nope, not even the director. I mean, he is helping firefighters shoot water at Max, but I don't know why that had to be a big surprise. Visual jokes are fun, but not when they mean Spider-Man took time out of this urgent mission to put on a fireman's hat just for a visual joke. God damn, people are f***ing dying, dude. Holy Christ, this guy likes posable lamps. I don't dare play the audio for the song, for reasons, but the second Amazing Spider-Man movie has an on Philip Phillips song set to a montage. It's weird. Dr. Jolings has videos that get into the hundreds of thousands of views, but only 2 people who subscribe. That f***ing YouTube algorithm, man. Also, this video does nothing except tell you if the incoming charge exceeds the outgoing charge, the battery could explode. That's f***ing it. This video isn't getting 200,000 views and 92 likes to 0 dislikes for that. In fact, just the word battery is going to get some asshole to dislike the video before they even watched it.
I need to find him.
I need his blood.
Why does Harry think that just because Peter took a photograph of Spider-Man that he's in good with Spider-Man? Remember in the previous series when Harry knew this about Peter because he regularly took pictures of him and claimed to know him somewhat. What in this series makes anyone think Peter knows him?
I gotta talk to you about England.
Please do! Please talk about England! We've still got an hour. Why not? Peter does a routine straight out of Now You See Me Too to create a distraction so Gwen can get on the elevator before security gets to her. But then she rides down many flights. Like, does the company have security only on the 24th floor? They couldn't radio downstairs?
Gwen Stacy.
Oh my God.
Jesus, who's next in this Oscorp elevator casting call? Aunt May?
I mean, it's Peter. Everything's always complicated with Peter.
Yeah, like when we were 10, last time we were friends, he was always so f***ing complicated. Evil Dr. Guy says here in a minute that he's here to study this guy. But how do you know so much about him right off the bat to build this part steel, part water, part electricity prison for him? Seriously, if we need to find a way to get Electro and Electra in the same movie, and something that's not called The Kingdom or Valentine's Day.
I'll tell you everything I know, but it will hurt you.
This is the same thing I said to my college girlfriend when she asked if I had any experience. Someone needs to tell Peter that this lamp that he has resting against the wall full of maps is probably a fire hazard.
He took the D train to work at 7 every morning, came home at 6 every night.
Wow, that casual information that is being passed off as part of a string of evidence that Richard Parker was a normal dude will end up being extremely important information to Peter very soon. Seriously, why does Peter do this? Can't he just say he can't find Spider-Man? Does he really think Harry's going to be cool with whatever Spidey says about not giving him blood?
You're a fraud, Spider-Man!
I think we can agree that Harry Osborn and everything about him is one of this movie's biggest issues. I mean, that's truly saying something, because this movie's got issues.
The only thing I keep coming back to, Gwen.
I feel like they're still eating ice cream just before Electro goes to Times Square. That's how old and tired this scene feels. It was 33 minutes ago, by the way, and nothing has moved plot-wise. Ah, I see this movie's story went to the Shawshank Redemption School of plot reveal via angry projectile.
He took the D train every morning at 7 to work.
See, told you, but also, she had the words in a different order when she said that. She said to work every morning at 7, but Memory Her is saying every morning at 7 to work. If I can remember it correctly, you'd think Peter'd be able to as well. He's the super genius, right? Man, this short-lived franchise sure loved putting Spider-Man in the subways, didn't it? Both the Amazing movies have extensive subway exploration sequences. That's weird. This is cool and all, but how did a scientist guy manage to put all this together on his own? This is some bullshit. This took 6 years, several programmers, a blacksmith, and 36 different contractors to build, you dicks.
Whatever lies will be told about me, I would like the world to know the truth.
That's why I kept it so hidden that nobody would ever find it unless my son threw a calculator against the wall and found subway tokens. And had just heard from his aunt that I used to take the D train, and that led him to Google something about Roosevelt and subway and D train and solve this whole mystery.
Norman Osborn has falsified evidence against me in order to take control of my work.
So wait, Norman Osborn knew that Richard was going to betray him, so he falsified evidence against him, which means we are way down the line in the process of a friendship tearing apart and a business partnership being dissolved. And yet, Richard still had access to the Oscorp lab to take back all his research without anyone knowing until it was too late? Peter watches one video of his father on the secret subway car lab computer, and I think that's it. Huh, this is way more Ghostbusters than I think they intended.
I think that maybe it's time to let this go.
This isn't an overdub or AR work. This is a voicemail Emma Stone left for the studio after she read the script. Unfortunately, she was under contract. Meanwhile, you don't even want to know about the voicemails left for the studio by Shailene Woodley. Where'd he get the suit with the lightning bolt on the sleeve? Or is he manipulating electricity to look like he's wearing a suit? The suit is nuts. He looked fine already, and the suit isn't real because he just dissolves here in a minute, so off, suit.
Let's take a walk, shall we?
Why? Why do you even need this guy? Can't Electricity Man just turn into E-Ether and enter the walls and find out where the secret lab is that the electricity runs to? Can't he image or blueprint this building in a heartbeat by going electric? Most of this movie he's too f***ing powerful, but here he's utterly useless.
The future.
Yeah, no. Of course, this string of movies couldn't launch the Sinister Six because they made all the same mistakes from Spider-Man 3 that led them to rebooting these movies in the first place. A movie that is overbloated and has too many villains. This movie is even 2 minutes longer than Spider-Man 3.
Do it. Now.
Harry trusts this corporate asshole to stick him with this spider venom needle, when I'm pretty sure I barely trust qualified people to do this correctly. This strobes on for some time. He seems really up. Oh, never mind. He'll be fine. I guess I didn't realize there was an entire protocol dedicated to healing him. Any other protocols I should know about? Training wheels? Ghost? So when Peter got his message from Gwen, he thought maybe she hasn't gotten to the airport yet. New York traffic, what can you do? And made sure to spell this out on the bridge just in case she was stuck in the traffic.
I know there's a million reasons why we shouldn't be together. I know that. But I'm tired of it.
Me too! Skip!
Did you try magnetizing them?
I love how this movie basically shoves Gwen Stacy to the side except for Peter's relationship status, and then BAM! At the third act break, she's like, try something anyone halfway Joyce Martin's science could have figured out long before this to make her seem worthwhile to the story. This movie even tries to work in some brand new Nurse Aunt May action, because the only idea this movie had it didn't use was Mary Jane Watson.
I will control everything, and I will be like a god to them.
This is the closest Electro gets to explaining his motivations, and it's still murky as f***. This fight full of nonsense and obfuscation where no one seems to have any advantage goes on for all the some time. As Electro literally plays the Itsy Bitsy Spider song while beating Spider-Man's ass, I'm left to wonder, is this real f***ing life? Who are the ad wizards that came up with this f***ing idea? F*** you, movie. I hate everything about this finale. It's a bunch of audio and video noise. It's somehow a migraine wrapped inside a sleeping pill. No one will be seated during the will the two planes avoid collision portion of the film because they'll all be standing up to leave.
No, Gwen, no! Do it now!
There is no f***ing way she heard that. Spider-Man is surrounded by a cacophony of electric noise, and Gwen is far away behind glass. Honestly, all movie long, we've all been mostly thinking about the local air traffic controllers, am I right? Oh goody, the Green Goblin! The reboot strategy totally makes sense now, because there clearly wasn't enough Green Goblin in the Raimi trilogy. I can't think of a more apt metaphor for this movie than Spidey continuously missing the mark while something flies around in circles above his head. As Gwen slow motion falls to her death amid falling gears and other clock-related things, I'm being utterly forced by the movie to remember her graduation speech about time and how we should make the most of it because it ends for everyone, and having a hammer smack me in the head kinda hurts. Whoa, Spidey, you need to take it easy, eh? Nearly 90 seconds of funeraling.
Now that Spider-Man's gone, the city will never be the same.
Oh, I'm counting on that.
These dumbasses assume Spider-Man is completely done, rather than simply taking a break to launch this Sinister Six plan. This is a cliche. It's new, but it counts. It's the someone goes to visit the recently imprisoned supervillain right at the end of a superhero movie cliche.
Who's our first volunteer?
Alexis Savage.
We picked him because it's somebody the audience will be familiar with after the first scene of the movie, when he proved to be terrible at his job. So he was a perfect candidate.
Peter, where are you going?
Gwen is gone. You can't change that. You can't stay sad forever. You're you're 19 years old. Where the f is camera? There was nobody at the f***ing graduation taking video that got this close up and got film quality sound out of it. And while I can't point to any one shot that proves this shot is good enough for me to send this bull.
We have to be greater than what we suffer.
We have to move on. We have to survive. Today we celebrate our Independence Day. Who took that f***ing picture? Looks like maybe Peter took this both of them sleeping selfie, but it's either pretentious or they got Denny from the room to take it, and that's a sin. What am I missing? Rhino looks like a clumsier, slower, not flying version of Iron Man. Rhino is just a tank in walkable human form. This movie's best scene is a throwaway tail-end stinger, teasing a future where Spider-Man accepts the possible consequences but still fights crime boldly and proudly. But I can't remove a sin because Paul Giamatti was f***ing wasted so hard.
Kid's got a future.
Toombs' friend would totally say she here, but the movie decides to play its own version of the pronoun game to hide a future twist.
Please turn over any and all.
No one saw that.
A lot of assholes who made this mess are getting paid to clean it up.
Bokeem Woodbine would be excellent at CinemaSins.
I'll tell you what, let's keep it. The world's changing. It's time we change too.
And like that, he's a villain. This is as good a time as any to mention that the collective timelines of all the films in the MCU is basically Okay, I initially ignored the 35 seconds of two Sony company logos at the start of the film, but if you're going to prologue and then give me a 35-second Marvel logo 5 minutes into the film, f***ing send in that shit twice.
New York, Queens.
Narration.
Just making a little video of the trip.
You know you can't show it to anyone.
Yeah, I know.
Then why is Happy letting him film this at all?
No one has actually told me why I'm in Berlin, or what I'm doing.
I have to say, Peter's cell phone captured video journal is way the f*** too over-edited, almost like it's a Marvel film.
Hey, May. How you doing? What are you wearing? Something skimpy, I hope.
Stark's continued commentary on May's attractiveness has now officially moved from the creepy column to the offensive column. Just a stupid, dangerous thing to do in view of all the school's front windows. Look at all those goddamn windows.
How's your aunt?
Yeah, she's alright.
Oye, la tía de una italiana que está buenísima.
Jesus Christ, dear Kevin Feige, get your Marissa Tomei boner in check, because it's starting to creep us all out. Gotta admit, I'm not a fan of the Stark Spidey suit. Spider-Man is cool because he's smart enough to build a suit himself. I don't need another Iron Man, thank you very much. Okay, I'm not made of steel. Spider-Man giving directions to an older lady is exactly what Spider-Man is all about, and this movie just earned a sin off.
Don't make me come down there, you punk.
Stan Lee cameos have become caricatures of themselves at this point.
Well, what is that thing?
Toombs has been selling this alien tech for the past 8 years, and this is the first time Spidey or anyone else has seen any of it.
Spider-Man is fighting the Avengers in a bank on 21st Street.
This is supposed to be funny and play off of what Spider-Man has already said, but clearly this guy can see from across the street those aren't the Avengers, so why tell the cops that?
Yeah.
Happy, the craziest thing just happened to me.
Happy hasn't answered Peter's calls or responded to any of his texts for the past however many weeks, but conveniently chooses now to answer one of his calls. In Queens, where every other resident is old with nothing to do but spy on their neighbors, nobody sees this. Isn't he close enough to close this door with his hand? Does he need to shoot the web, other than to further sell his in the room right now best friend's reaction? Peter just came in from the window directly behind Ned. How did he not see him or sense him? This movie leads you to believe Spider-Man doesn't have Spidey sense, or doesn't have it yet. Why is that exactly? What is removing that from the mythos of this character adding?
The turkey meatloaf recipe is a disaster.
I could have told you that before you started cooking, but whatever.
I need a new backpack. That's 5.
How many new backpacks does he need before Aunt May starts asking reasonable questions? 10? 15? 5 clearly doesn't cut it.
Can you spit venom? Can you summon an army of spiders?
This series of Ned asking questions to Peter is hilarious.
You know him too?
Yeah, we met. I stole his shield.
But there is zero chance no one sitting around Peter and Ned can't hear what they're saying.
Pretty sure this guy's a war criminal now, but whatever. I have to show these videos.
This guy has a point. Also, public school in a nutshell, everyone. Okay, another sin-off. This is funny and all, Spider-Man in the suburbs, but there are a bunch of trees he could be swinging off right behind him in this shot alone. How did these stupid-ass henchmen think they could demo a blue alien explosion gun without anyone taking notice? And Peter just happens to be acting indecisive on a roof to conveniently see it.
I just need something to stick out somebody. I'm not trying to shoot them back in time.
Look, it may be hard to buy a gun in New York, but it's gotta be easier than getting access to the only dudes that have this technology, right? If Childish Gambino just wanted to stick somebody up, why not just go with the finger-in-your-pocket technique? Movie steals an outtake from us. Somehow Spidey survives this fall, even though later Karen tells him that falling off the Washington Monument would be lethal. Iron Man Ex Machina to the f***ing max! Iron Max Machina?
That is not what you thought when I took on Captain America.
Trust me, kid. If Cap wanted to lay you out, he would have.
Basically the whole problem with Civil War in one sentence.
If you come across these weapons again, call Happy.
Considering he never answers the phone when Peter calls, I'm not sure how this is good advice. And how the hell did the cell phone even survive that 1,000-foot fall and submersion in a lake a few minutes ago?
Sorry, Peter. I guess we're still losers. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow in school.
Didn't Ned get a ride from May to the party? How's he getting back home?
I'm the shocker. I shock people. What is this, pro wrestling?
Hot damn, even this movie's main villain would be excellent at CinemaSins.
What if you can afford me out there, though, right? With everything I know.
Not Tom Hardy is not too bright to be threatening not Birdman like this. Yeah, that seems smart. Also, Peter decides to try and get to the bottom of the whole purple gun thing mystery during class, and somehow doesn't get discovered. These guys would not be strolling around a 2017 New York high school during operating hours without raising some sort of suspicion. Spidey homing bacon? Kinda lame. Thanks, Tony Stark, for ruining most of what made Spider-Man cool. The date for the academic decathlon on this poster says it's on September 14th. However, the poster from earlier in the movie showed it being from October 13th through the 15th. Tony Stark, billionaire and genius, can't create tech a high school sophomore can't hack into.
Detecting 3 individuals.
Giving Spider-Man his own Jarvis is, yet again, anathema to what Spider-Man is all about. Does it make sense in this universe with the way they've used Stark to introduce Spidey? Yes, but as much as I enjoy this movie, I must repeat that I am not down with Iron Man Spidey. And yes, you comic fans, I know there's an Iron Spider thing in the comics. I don't care.
Activating instant kill.
No. I don't want to kill anybody.
Deactivating instant kill.
Why would Tony even put this setting in the suit? And how does it work exactly? All of a sudden his webs become poisonous?
You have 576 possible web shooter combinations.
Jesus f***.
Taser webs? I don't want taser webs.
Neither do I, Peter. Neither do I.
You appear to have a mild concussion.
No lie, the NFL sued Sony for this line of dialogue.
Activating reconnaissance drone.
Spider God, there's literally nothing this suit can't do for him. It's literally not a Spider-Man movie unless the girl he likes ends up in mortal peril. Literally.
This is your chance, Peter. Kiss her.
Why in the ever-loving f*** would Tony Stark write a suit AI for Peter that gives him relationship advice? And honestly, who would trust relationship advice from something written by Tony Stark anyway? I don't see how f***ing up your mode of transportation is helpful.
Facial recognition on the footage of that encounter.
Talk to me when you're smart enough to suggest this without being asked, stupid suit lady Karen.
I record everything you see.
That's super convenient for Peter right now. Also, how doesn't Stark have access to this footage? That looks terrible. A red and blue paper airplane would have looked more like a gliding Spider-Man than that does.
Activate taser web!
Hey, wait a second. He didn't give any such command back before casually tossing grenade web. But later he has to say,
Web grenade!
To get that web setting. If only there was a large body of water close by to throw this in. This spray a bunch of webs and when it doesn't work use brute strength sequence is way more like the subway scene in Spider-Man 2 than I think this movie intended. Jesus Christ poses Jesus. How the hell did Tony know to bring these things? The ship only split down the middle like 90 seconds ago.
Does he just always travel with dozens of tiny thruster bots?
Is everyone okay?
No thanks to you.
There was almost zero chance no one died in that incident.
Everyone else said I was crazy to recruit a 14-year-old kid.
Everyone else was right. Well, this is the fakest background that ever faked being a background.
I guess you already have a date to homecoming.
Actually, I'm so busy planning and I never really got around to that part, so.
Yeah, no. That girl has a date, a backup date, and 3 hot friend zone dudes on standby. I know many of you love this moment, and more power to you. But the sheer odds of Peter's nemesis being the dad of his date are just, I mean, you could win the lottery more easily.
You disappeared like you always do, like you did in DC too.
Movie mostly redeems the coincidence dad thing with this scene where he realizes who Peter is, and which ends with one of the coolest hero-villain conversations ever.
I'll kill you and everybody you love.
This entire scene absolutely rules. Another sin-off, but also might want to pull away from the very public place you're currently in front of before pulling out that gun.
Gotta go. I'm sorry.
Why does he have to go? Other than there wouldn't be a movie if he doesn't. The sanest thing to do here would be to call Happy and let him know you've discovered the identity of the Vulture and he's got something going down tonight. How did Shocker know this was the door Peter would come out of? How the hell did Vulture even have time to call Shocker and get him here to do this? Peter went inside for like 45 seconds. Shocker must have been in the trunk of Vulture's goddamn car. Shocker kicks the web shooter instead of crushing it, or shockering it. I get that Spider-Man has insane strength, but he doesn't have the Stark costume on anymore. He's basically just wearing a hoodie. So how is he not cut up all to hell here and or knocked unconscious? He was knocked unconscious earlier while in the better suit after hitting the top of the transport truck.
I know when Bronzino's fresh, and that was not fresh.
Is there some weird comic thing with Spider-Man and Branzino? Because in The Amazing Spider-Man, the dialogue makes a point of saying they're eating Branzino at Gwen's house. This is just too fucking weird to be a coincidence, right?
You gotta be me.
Happy hangs up on Ned and basically creates the need for this movie to even have a climax. He takes this call like a normal human being, and Iron Man ends this in about 3 minutes flat.
We just gotta load Tony's old Hulkbuster armor, prototype for Cap's new shield, and the Thor's magic belt.
It's the MacGuffin plane.
I'm looking at porn.
Love Ned. Why wouldn't Peter just web up tombs right now? You know how this wouldn't have been an issue? If Peter had webbed up both hands. Couldn't he, at this point, like, step forward? There's literally nothing in front of him right now.
Retroreflective panels engaged.
How did Tomb's crew know so much about this moving day bullshit and that the plane would be cloaked? Just one scene of them paying off a guy on the inside is all it would have taken. If they've got these alien balls, why do they even need to make the weapons and sell them? They could just enter vaults or whatever the they wanted to and steal all the money they needed. They'd be set for life. They went to this much trouble with security and got or built a invisible jet, but didn't put any locking mechanisms on the actual crates themselves.
Just a typical homecoming. On the outside of an invisible jet. Finding my girlfriend's dad.
Cute line, but she is not your girlfriend. She only went out with you once to a dance where you immediately abandoned her. Sony made a movie, and Marvel said, hey, let us edit that fight scene for you in our signature style. And Sony said, no way, but Marvel did it anyway. Good thing no one was hanging out on Coney Island on this night. Is Spider-Man also resistant to fire somehow? Between the ferry and the plane and now this, he should just be Ash at this point.
My friends call me MJ.
What? You, movie.
I thought you didn't have any friends.
I didn't.
And why do you now, exactly? You've done nothing but flip people off and make mean drawings of them this entire movie. So what happened to change all this?
And I'll introduce the world, the newest official member of the Avengers.
Why would Tony go from, I need the suit back, to you're part of the Avengers after one heroic moment from Peter? He took the suit for Peter going after the Vulture. And then when Peter goes after Vulture again, boom, welcome to the club. He's still a 15-year-old kid.
Where's the kid?
He left.
Pepper's here too? This really does feel more and more like Iron Man 4. Haha, they tricked you, Robert Downey Jr. I know you said you didn't want to do a fourth, but they tricked your ass.
What the f?
Peter really needs to learn how to close and lock a door.
Patience.
The movie's final end credit scene is a big old f you to everyone that stayed to watch something at least a smidge more entertaining than a troll.
At this point, I bet Audi has paid for 10% of the entire MCU budget with their oppressive product placement in these movies.
What are we, fighting the weather now?
Locals say the cyclone had a face.
Oh, people see things when they're under stress.
Like a giant green Hulk, or a Norse god who wields a hammer, or a woman in black spandex wielding a Glock. I'm just saying, with the superheroes and villains that exist, is a weather monster that far out of the box? You just need to chill, Hill. 36 seconds of Marvel logo, a minute and 47 seconds into the movie, and after we had to sit through 32 seconds of Sony getting the upper hand logos at the beginning of the movie.
Gone, but not forgotten. This year has been nothing short of...
It is crazy. It's like insane.
Why is the school news station doing an in memoriam about the dead Avengers at the end of an entire school year? Wouldn't this have been something they broadcast on the first day of school, closer to the actual deaths?
Over 5 years ago, half of all life in the universe...
Again, why is this being discussed on the last day of school, nearly a year after the unsnap? Wouldn't high school students of all people have gotten beyond that early in the school year, and this last day newscast would be about college and valedictorian and, regular high school? It makes for a good expositional dump, but it makes no sense in context.
8 months ago, a band of brave heroes brought us back.
Still calling bullshit on no one appearing in the exact same space as another human being causing some weird mutation string. But at least the movie chose to show the gym scene in this scenario, as opposed to what happened in the men's room.
They called it the blip.
Comic Sans. Also, this movie basically ignores the blip, except for this one 60-second news broadcast, which is probably because the filmmakers weren't told the details of Endgame, but ends up feeling like they didn't care about the events of Endgame.
I'm gonna buy her a black dahlia necklace because her favorite flower is the black dahlia because of, well...
The murder.
The murder.
MJ is f***ed up. Date her at your own risk, dude. I see this ending badly if she's picking favorite flowers based on her favorite murder, or even has a favorite murder.
I may not know much, but I do know this. Europeans love Americans.
You might want to check that, Ned. According to the published and certified Love Actually documentation, it's Americans who love Europeans.
By the way, travel tip, you should probably download a VPN on your phone just so that the government can't track you while we're abroad.
Conspiracy theorists.
When I blipped back to my apartment, the family that was living there was very confused.
I'm sure. And just imagine all the people that blipped back in the middle of the ocean because they were on a boat, or landed on the third rail and died because they had been in a subway car. And you know there were some people mid-orgasm. How did that work out for them? Jesus, I think I want a series of movies on various people that blip back. Maybe not the orgasm people. Can't be said enough, I hate Spider-Man wearing an iron suit. Yes, it does happen in the comics, you nerds, but it's relatively brief. And this is the second movie he's worn this suit in, and it's just not Spider-Man when he's in iron armor. That mask CGIing off his head looks insanely stupid. I just want him to pull his mask off. Is that asking too much?
You sent Nick Fury to voicemail?
Yeah.
You don't send Nick Fury to voicemail.
Did you hear that?
I send everyone to voicemail. Brad Bird could call me and tell me Disney picked up the rights to my books and he wants to direct them, and he would still be saying all that to my voicemail box. Part of it is that I'm half deaf and I don't hear well, and my phone transcribes voicemails to me almost instantly. The other part is that I get so many calls from scammers, asshats, salesmen, and family members that I'm mathematically better off not answering any calls. And math ain't never done lied to me once.
Hungry? I thought that you could sense that with your Peter tingle.
Hey, we forgot to mention Spidey Sense in the first movie, so we'll just have a banana in the face gag here, so you don't think we're complete idiots. How would he be able to pack that, even if he wanted to? I'm assuming that giant charging port would have to come with it. Good luck explaining that at the airport before boarding an international flight. This looks like a regular airplane, but look closer, and you will see that absolutely no one in coach is wishing they were dead right now. Flash makes fun of Peter about being on an airplane, but also Flash is in first class. And yeah, he's rich, but what kind of a school trip lets individual rich students upgrade to first class on their own?
He blipped, so technically he's 16, not 21.
And isn't that what his ID would say? They most certainly would have checked before serving him. Heart of Iron. Heart of Iron? They made a Tony Stark documentary and they chose the title Heart of Iron? Why not Stark Realities? Or why not the MCU? Or Dead Dickhead Now Revered? Or Tony. Someone falls asleep on a trip and puts their head on the lap or shoulder of another character and it's awkward cliche.
We have a lot in common. So, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now.
That was fast. I know that's the joke, but still. An 8-hour flight feels more like an excuse to get Peter alone for more of this film, and as such, it works.
Whatever happened to being an American bachelor in Europe?
Peter, those were the words of a boy. And that boy met a woman.
Ned is a little too Manny Delgado in this movie for my taste.
There's nothing in there. I swear.
Yeah, that usually works with customs agents. Also, why wouldn't Aunt May shove that suit under some clothes or something? She knows this is a secret identity, so her disregard for secrecy here makes no sense. Are you telling me that in 8 months since the unblippening, airports and public buildings worldwide have all unanimously decided to deify Tony Stark in massive artwork displays? Do you have any idea how long it takes a government to make a decision? 8 months? Can a master painter even finish a portrait this size in that amount of time?
Put your bags off. We're gonna meet at the Da Vinci Museum at 3.
You have 2 adults on this student trip and you're not going with them to the museum? You're letting them find their own way? In Venice? Without an adult? What am I watching? What is this? Martin Starr is a great comic actor, but physical comedy isn't necessarily for everyone. He had a good couple moments in Homecoming, and now this movie is tripling down on that teacher you laughed at last time. So we get him falling asleep on Peter, telling marriage sob stories to Peter, and now aping Mr. Bean.
Bo, it's the most perfect word in the world. Italians created it, and I just discovered it.
What does it mean?
That's the thing, it can mean a million things.
Not sure how that's cool or helpful. How would anyone know which version of the word beau you're using? Smurfing Italians. Also, this beau never comes back again or is referred to throughout the rest of the movie. It's literally just filling and killing time with a word that means nothing.
Bo is my new superpower. It's like the anti-Aloha.
I'm pretty sure the movie Aloha was the anti-Aloha. I guess you could suspend my disbelief enough to believe that Mysterio would have his theatrics staged in Venice when Peter is there because, well, Peter is there. Except I don't know how he would know at this point that Peter is also Spider-Man. But regardless, I'm calling bullshit that he would know Peter would be at this exact place at the time he did this, so the whole scenario is built on an Italian river of lies! In all seriousness, what do you think that was going to accomplish? Does Peter often swing on his web by connecting them to the Hudson River? I know people are running for their lives, but you're telling me no one sees this? It's broad daylight, man. And there are so many no one sees this moments later in this movie, I'm giving it 5 sins right here and now to cover them all.
What do you mean it's close to when?
November.
You didn't check the website?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Too much, teacher! Screwball prop comedy in a Spider-Man movie? There's comedy, and then there's emo Peter dancing to Staying Alive, and while you're not in that territory, you're closer than I would like you to be.
Who is that guy?
I don't know, but he's kicking that water's ass.
Pretty intense scene and all. Too bad we've already seen 2 much better versions of this scene with the train scene in Spider-Man 2 and the boat scene in Spider-Man Homecoming. And 2 much better movies I could add, and I think I will.
BuzzFeed says there's a sailor named Morris Bench who was exposed to an experimental underwater generator and got hydro powers.
Movie uses a likeness to a character from the comics called Hydro Man, but it isn't actually Hydro Man. However, movie has Flash talk about the origins of Morris Bench, aka Hydro Man from the comics, anyways.
You just shot Ned.
Just a mild tranquilizer, he'll be alright.
Sure, but what if he'd fallen on the side of his neck with the tranq dart? Wouldn't it have then shoved the whole thing further into his neck and caused medical problems and
I tried to bring you here, you avoided me, and now you're here. What a coincidence.
Wait, was this a coincidence?
This movie doesn't even know its coincidences from its contrivances.
Another person touches that door, you and I are going to attend another funeral.
How does Peter have any control over that?
There are multiple realities, Peter. This is Earth, Dimension 616. I'm from Earth 833.
Because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse exists, the viewer accepts the idea of multiple universes. But in this world, the multiverse hasn't been explored yet. And it seems like Nick Fury would be on to Mysterio from the beginning, or simply call Doctor Strange and ask if this is legit, because this story is suspicious as hell.
Don't ever apologize for being the smartest one in the room.
The Zuckerberg family motto.
I mean, I'm just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, sir.
Bitch, please, you've been to space.
Okay, I'm only human.
Captain Marvel.
Don't invoke her name.
Why not? And for something like this that could destroy the world, why wouldn't you use Captain Marvel? She's stronger than everyone and everything.
You should have heard me on the phone with him. I really gave him hell.
All I heard was crying.
The name of this road in English translates to Nobody Nope Road. The French call it Les No. Peter waited so long to put on these Stark glasses that I actually had forgotten all about them. Why would a high school kid like Peter wait so long to see what a now dead Tony Stark left for? I'm shocked he didn't put them on as soon as they were handed to him, come to think of it.
I have access to the entire Stark Global Security Network, including multiple defense satellites, as well as backdoors to all major telecommunication networks.
Holy God goggles, Batman!
Take off your clothes.
This is a hell of a thing, considering her insistence he get naked to try on the suit is only in story service of giving Peter's rival something to use against him with MJ. But in addition to that, this should be creepy. It's played for laughs, but it's a grown woman demanding a teenager take off his clothes. You couldn't think of any better ways to give the rival leverage than this?
Initiating strike.
Initiating what now?
Intercept point determined. Releasing kill vehicle.
Peter has already played this game with his first Spidey suit Tony gave him. He should have known as soon as Edith said target, this is what he was asking her to do. Also, I don't care who Tony Stark is. It is insane to think he would just have a weaponized satellite in the sky that could be initiated by someone not understanding a question. I'm no science guy, but I don't think that's how momentum works. Once Peter exits the vehicle, he still has forward momentum, but begins to immediately slow, comparable to the bus itself, which continues at the same speed. All I'm saying is Peter should either have landed back on the roof of the van behind the opening, or at least dinged the edge of the opening on his way back down.
It's clear to me that you were not ready for this.
To be fair, he told you that in Venice. Also, isn't this yet another rehash of Homecoming with Fury taking the place of Tony? Is this what we get to look forward to in all these MCU Spider-Man films? Someone will tell him he's not ready to fight the big fight, and then he'll do it anyway and come out on top. It's like multiple versions of Rocky 3.
Lucky for us, we got the best seats in the house.
From here on out, I'm shortening too much teacher to TMT. It will save me an entire syllable, and at this point, I will take every ounce of saved breath over this movie that I can get.
I'll save you a seat next to me.
Zendaya is adorable in this movie, but, well, all I'm saying is don't watch the entirety of Euphoria on HBO right before you watch her in this movie, because it will be a jarring juxtaposition. Also, jarring juxtaposition is also A, an edgier name in chef circles for the surf and turf, B, what my college girlfriend called sex, C, the name of my cousin's jazz corps band, or D, one's perception of marriage prior to and immediately after the wedding ceremony.
And Peter, whatever you do, please steer the monster away from the opera house.
Yeah, Ned, I know.
And now so does Betty, because she's right behind you and Ned is not using an inside voice.
I would totally kiss you, but I think I just threw up in my mouth a little.
You did? You threw up in your mouth a little? How do you not know for sure whether or not you threw up in your mouth? Here's where her dad from The Nice Guys would chide her. Don't say I think, just to fill space in a sentence. But also, there is not a teenage male alive that would let a little vomit get in the way of some action.
The choice is yours.
I hear you can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. I think I'll get with this, because this is where it's at. This scene where Peter gives his God goggles to Mysterio willingly, his Spidey sense failed him, bro. This movie makes it seem later like he's been struggling for a while with using the Peter tingle, but other than that banana bull, I can't find much early movie evidence of this, and I suspect it was largely left on the cutting room floor.
Because maybe he didn't trust me to have Edith, he just trusted me to pick who should.
I mean, maybe, but my guess is he wasn't expecting you to pick some rando you met a couple days ago. Peter might as well be giving the glasses to Flash.
You stopped the elementals, you saved my life, you saved the world.
Peter isn't this dumb though. Like, I get that he's grieving Tony and maybe not at the top of his game, but even if the Spidey sense is f***ing him over, Peter's own brain should be ringing all the bells right now.
Mr. Stark would have really liked you.
Have you forgotten how good a judge of character Tony Stark was? He'd have seen through this asshole way back in Venice, and he would have hated a guy that pretends to be a hero through illusions rather than truly doing heroic stuff.
To the man who brought us all together, our former boss, Tony Stark.
And seriously, f*** you, movie. This is now 2 Spider-Man villains in a row that have been turned into essentially Iron Man villains that Spider-Man has to fight. Is it asking too goddamn much to have a Spider-Man movie be a f***ing Spider-Man movie? Maybe Sony should take this back over. Also, Mysterio is essentially the Mandarin all over again. A rather cool character who has literally been acting the whole time and is uninteresting as hell when his true colors shine. So way to go, Far From Home. You're the Iron Man 3 of Spider-Man movies. But also, world's longest toast ever.
Oh, $611 million for my little therapeutic experiment.
I haven't seen this kind of character in the shadows retconning since the last Saw movie.
Chamber Science, we're leaving because of witches.
That's witchist.
That's what it said on the news. And the news never lies.
The news that the news never lies about the news is fake news. Oh, good thing MJ happened to be right by the drone projector that Peter caught in his webbing, and they could have this awkward conversation on the bridge. Because then Peter would never find out Quentin Beck is a fake and a bad guy, and this movie relies on way too much coincidental coincidences.
Wait a minute, does that mean that...
The elementals are fake? There was fire and destruction. Who would do something like that?
Peter, who would do that? God, this movie makes Peter Parker dumber than a box of rocks.
I am trying to fool 7 billion people here, including Nick Fury, who happens to be the most paranoid and most dangerous person on the planet.
Not true. The most paranoid person on the planet is clearly Kanye West, and the most dangerous person on the planet is clearly Kanye West. I realize he didn't have a lot of options since he can't fly and but that is a 4.5-hour train ride he just took from Prague to Berlin, and I'm just saying, all the evil could be done already by the time he gets there, and I wouldn't be surprised. In case you confused it with Berlin, New Hampshire.
I don't think you know what's real, Peter.
I just can't give enough sins for this movie wants to excuse as the work of drones that could never be the work of drones. Add 10 now!
I created Mysterio to give the world someone to believe in!
You created Mysterio to be poison?
If you were good enough, maybe Tony would still be alive.
But Tony's death in Endgame wasn't Peter's fault. Look, this sequence is visually arresting, and that's worth praise. But it's undercut by the knowledge that all of this is being done by drones, which is hilariously impossible.
It's easy to fool people when they're already fooling themselves.
What does that even mean? At least in the context of this movie. You fooled Peter just now because you have lookalike drones, not because Peter was out here f***ing up his own mind with needless quandaries.
But for what it's worth, Peter, I really am sorry.
Terrific train timing. When and how did they plan this? Okay, we'll come pick you up in the Netherlands. We'll meet you at the edge of that one large field of flowers.
You're never gonna be Iron Man.
Good. Then for the love of God, Skip!
You're the head of security and your password is password?
I don't feel good about it either.
Movie has time for this.
Oh, I love Led Zeppelin!
How does a kid as pop culture savvy as Peter was in Infinity War and Homecoming mistake AC/DC for Led Zeppelin? Or is the movie making a joke about his probable concussion?
Okay, people, no Avengers coming. We're good to go.
But why aren't any Avengers coming? Fury has already decided he can't rely on Spider-Man, so why couldn't he call someone? Falcon, Rhodey, Doctor Strange, Asbestos Lady? It's literally not a Spider-Man movie if his love interest isn't in danger and needing him to rescue them.
Like the Power Rangers! You think you can Voltron? Who? Voltron!
You think they were making all this up as they went about filming it?
Be ready for anything.
Then she went to the roof with a bazooka and saves him when the drone appears and is going to kill him. And I guess they knew about the drones already from Happy's warning. Regardless, I'm more curious how be ready for anything became shorthand for one of these drones is definitely going to show up outside this window and try and kill me, so you should go to the roof with a shoulder rocket.
Edith, give me some protection.
Copy.
If Beck has Edith, I'm not sure why he even needs the drones anymore. He has an entire satellite of weaponry at his disposal to do whatever he wants. Can we get some villains with at least a little more creativity than the Batman Forever Riddler? That's all I ask. This movie is a lot more Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom than I think they were going for.
Happy, thank God!
I bought us some time.
And apparently some amazing earpieces. Happy and the kids are in a goddamn vault, still able to communicate with Peter. Spider-Man does some stuff, but I'm not honestly sure what any of it was. I'm sure it was awesome and devastating to the drones, but I'd need a transcript of the events to know what the just happened. Gee, I wonder what this bridge is. It's London Bridge, right?
Great, no webs.
That seems unnecessary. He just started using this suit. He used up all his webbing already? Why do you have to strip him of one of his tools of the job in order for the finale to have stakes?
Nobody dies on my watch.
I mean, technically Iron Man did.
How much of my life playing video games? We're gonna die.
I have a fake ID. and I've never even used it.
This confession right before we die trope has been done before and to death, but probably never better than in Almost Famous. Okay, that was badass. Wow, Peter went from struggling with his Peter tingle to seeing blind like Daredevil, and I'm calling bull. If it was so easy, all he had to do was wish for it a little bit, then why the struggle to use it before now?
You're in the strike zone. The chance of getting hit is...
Fire all the drones now!
This guy is even dumber than Kent Mansley.
Sorry, it's broken.
I actually like it better broken.
Of course you do.
You sure no one else has figured it out?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like anybody really pays attention to you.
Secret identity shadowing.
Hello, Gerald. Could Mother not make it?
Holy this is a dark final beat for Flash Thompson. Almost like they might be setting him up for something more antagonisty in the next installment. What is that on the white plate on the end table next to Aunt May? Is it sushi? A peppermint stick biscotti? A skinny breakfast burrito with ketchup drizzle on top? White chocolate pretzel with raspberry?
Spider-Man attacked me for some reason. He has an army weaponized drone, Stark technology.
But who's gonna believe all this? There should be tons of citizen and surveillance video of the Tower Bridge attack. London is one of the most heavily surveilled cities in existence, and Spider-Man clearly beat the hell out of some drones and people will figure out the video is doctored even before all the video evidence is unearthed. This is some bull, is my point. And here's J. Jonah Jameson, back now as an online news pundit, because I guess they felt the same way about J.K. Simmons in this role as they did James Earl Jones in the role of Mufasa, which is that no one could ever replace them. But it breaks continuity, pulls me out of the movie, and Carl Urban or Timothy Olyphant could have pulled off a slightly new, different take on the character just fine. Also, does this mean this movie is in the same universe as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies? Because it kinda does, even though they will tell you it does not. So, Fury and Hill, all movie were actually these two Klingons from the Captain Marvel movie. Bum bum bum. But that's stupid. Fury's on vacation? What the f***, guys? This is lame. It also sort of suggests you might still end up doing that thing where anyone at any time in the MCU might be a Skrull, which would be a huge cop-out. Tony didn't die, it was Skrull Tony!
Are you sure you want to commence the drone attack? There will be significant casualties.
Do it! Execute them all!
Oh, this movie is starting with manipulated footage of a good guy to make it seem like he killed a lot of innocent people. Does that mean we're gonna get the running Spider-Man? Now that's a multiverse I can get behind. Also, a extraordinary 1 minute and 9 seconds of logos. Spider-Man slings his way into a subway tunnel on East 59th Street in Manhattan and emerges on 47th Street in Queens for an altogether unnecessary 8 miles of subway tunnel travel that most likely would have ended in death.
Oh no. Oh god. Oh no. Peter.
I don't know what to do.
Peter.
If we can hear what's going on, then Happy should be able to as well, and it doesn't take a genius to know it's probably not something he wants to be walking in on.
Is that
here?
When Peter opens the blind, none of the blinds in the apartment building on TV open up at all. Why is Time choosing to focus on him being Tony Stark's protege instead of all the murder? And what kind of a front cover is this anyway? Are they really just taking a pop at his age? Man, I sure am glad I watched Stardust before this, because I would have been totally lost on who this was.
I don't believe any of the charges against you are going to stick.
They wrapped up Spider-Man's Mysterio murder investigation in 8 minutes. And while we know he's innocent, how did the detectives come to this conclusion? Did they find Mysterio's video guy?
Peter, you may have dodged your legal troubles, but things will get much worse. There is still a court of public opinion.
Man, people turned on Spidey quick. Considering how much they deified Stark in Far From Home for his involvement in the unblippiting, you would think Spider-Man would have some equal goodwill carry over from helping to defeat Thanos, right? Peter and Aunt May live pretty high up in this apartment building, right? Like, they were eye to eye with the news helicopter earlier when Peter opened the blinds. So how does someone throw a brick this straight and accurately from the street? The newspaper that this Mysterio fan wrapped around this brick has one of those good old-fashioned movie articles that are filled with vague political gibberish. Why does the discovery of major plot MacGuffins like this Magic Curie box always have to be pitched as a serendipitous surprise? The unbelievable thing isn't that he finds it, it's that the damn thing exists in the first place.
You both like each other, we get it, hang up. There's no new ground being broken.
Happy would be Andrew Garfield at CinemaSins.
And if you want to read about our inspiring friendship, you can now in my new book, Flashpoint.
I'm this close to dedicating an entire video to everything wrong with this single frame of the movie. How did Flash manage to get a book written, picked up by a publisher, proofed, edited, rewritten, re-edited, and ready to sell in the time since he found out Peter was Spider-Man? If an entire year has passed, the movie should really tell us that. Also, get it, because this movie is basically Marvel's Flashpoint. The only problem is that Marvel is so far ahead of DC that this nod kind of feels like the biggest kid at school bullying the class hamster. We now pause the most anticipated movie since before the end times to bring you 2 full minutes of college rejection letters.
In light of recent controversy, we are unable to consider your application at this time.
Based on what we know about abusing the college admission system, I am shocked that Peter, being a superpowered vigilante, was enough to get him and his friends rejected. Heck, this kind of publicity should have bought them all scholarships. Who wouldn't want to say that Spider-Man attends their college? Also, sure is a good thing MIT told these guys exactly why they weren't being accepted. Otherwise, this whole movie doesn't happen. MIT is like the person you're in love with in high school who's like, I'd really like to date you, but things are so crazy right now. Give me time to think about it. And then 1 week later, they're dating Brad. Brad. This dickhead Flash Thompson still gets into MIT, even though he wrote a book about being Peter's best friend. Jesus. I guess MIT saw through that bullshit and said, yeah, but he's not really Peter's friend, so let's accept this liar into our school. Dr. Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, Master of the Mystic Arts, is a dick to these guys for making them shovel up all this snow instead of poofing it away.
I'm, the most famous person in the world, I know.
The only way Wong hears this is if his ears are apparating before the damn sparkle circle even starts. Do you only need to do the twirly-whirly ring finger thing to summon the swirly portal when you need to look cool? Because Wong's hands are holding suitcases and he seems to be making that appear at will.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Dr. Strange gets into this spell before even consulting Peter how it will work or asking any questions. He doesn't even ask, are you sure you want the people closest to you to forget you? Sorcery should have more considerations and barriers than a computer asking if you wanted to leak K-19 the Widowmaker off your hard drive.
Can't some people still know?
That's not how the spell works.
And yet that's exactly what you try to do here in a minute, as if there's some MJ, Ned, and Aunt May exception to the spell you're casting. I doubt the ancient sorcerers who made these spells were all about improvisation and ordering omissions a la carte.
Very difficult and dangerous to change it mid-casting.
Okay, well, can you stop casting the spell and have a conversation first?
All right, fine. Everyone in the world's going to forget that you're Spider-Man except your girlfriend.
So, not that difficult to change mid-casting, then?
You changed my spell 6 times.
So some ordinary doofus can just say things in the middle of a sorcerer's spell and it counts?
Are you telling me that you didn't even think to plead your case with them first before you asked me to brainwash the entire world?
Dude, you took that brainwash the entire world assignment with very little prompting.
Flash, please come on and help me. You know what I want. Okay, I'll tell everyone that you're my best friend.
Except that's really not what Flash would want anymore, right? If people think he's Peter's best friend, then there's a good chance he gets rejected from MIT.
Where is she?
She left.
To go where?
To the airport.
I guess the Vice Chancellor told Flash exactly which of 3 possible airports she was going to, and what route she was going to take to get there, so that he could find her in the middle of all this traffic. So begins Spider-Man Icecapades. Come out to see your favorite characters. 3 times the villains, 3 times the excitement, 3 times the Spidey. Doors open 3 hours early for general admission to see Charlotte's Web-Slinger the Spider-Man cover band. Opening act, Chad Kroger. Enter your name into a drawing to see Alfred Molina's stunt double's morning skate. Green Goblin conveniently shows up right after Spider-Man gets Doc Ock under control. Wait, what? Did Doctor Strange know that Peter was about to get in a fight with the Green Goblin, or is this just a coincidence? If he knew this fight was about to happen, why didn't he transport the Green Goblin to a holding cell too?
It started pulling in everyone who knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man from every universe into this one.
Except for James Franco, he's, unavailable. Also, as fun as everyone seems to be having with all the old villains coming back, it would have been nice if some other villain we'd never seen before showed up from some other universe as of yet unrealized, with Jake Gyllenhaal playing one of the unrealized Spider-Mans. You could have had some major fun with that, guys, and you blew it.
So I pursued it into the sewers where I found that slimy green son of a gun.
I wonder why Dr. Kurt Connors wasn't given his big moment to shine for a big applause. And again, why does he show up in a sewer while Doc Ock and Green Goblin show up exactly where Spider-Man was?
My friends and I just got a second chance to get into MIT, and if the school sees me fighting these crazy monsters...
The Vice Chancellor just watched him fight one of these monsters, and that secured him a place at MIT. If the admissions board continues to see him rescuing the world, isn't that going to strengthen his case even more? Honestly, this college acceptance thread being the inciting incident for the whole movie is weaker than using multiverses to get all your toys in the same sandbox.
I'm so sorry for dragging you into this. Listen, you just gotta help me find these guys.
You don't have to apologize, okay? You got us a second shot at MIT.
The whole reason you assholes didn't get into MIT in the first place is because you helped Peter do his Spider-Man shit. Peter's been moping this whole movie because he dragged MJ and Ned into his adventures. Now they get a second chance and Peter asks them to do more? And they agree?
As of now, you have detected 0 multiversal trespassers.
But I thought you could detect them all by yourself. Just 3 minutes ago you said...
After you left, I detected an otherworldly presence. I pursued it into the sewers.
So you're telling me you can detect lizards in sewers, but not like Electro?
You can work in the Undercroft.
The Undercroft?
Is this the place where gamers make Tomb Raider porn?
and witnesses say that they saw a monster flying through the air.
Peter told us he needed MJ and Ned to catch these guys, but we're seriously going with Ned knows how to use the internet as the justification for it?
Did you guys see that?
No.
I'm not surprised. Securing a phone like this helps us, the audience, but the camera on the back of the phone is almost always the way to go for picture quality. Also, does his Peter tingle only work during the day?
What's happening?
And introducing the birthday boy who crashed a party of hundreds of genetically modified electric eels and lived a shocking life to the max. From the Amazing Spider-Man to Electro! This is the second time Spider-Man has been saved by something completely ridiculous. This time it's Sandman showing up, for some reason. Anyway, everyone who clapped when Sandman appeared probably hated Spider-Man 3. That's the kind of movie this is.
I can't hold it much longer.
Why not? You're sand.
What did you just do to him?
No, it's okay, it's okay,
Did
it's
you
okay.
kill him?
Whoa, listen, I can explain everything, you just have to trust me.
Or you could tell him exactly what you did instead of repeating the same platitude over and over, hoping for a different outcome. Hey, that's exactly what I do.
Dr. Kurt Connors. He was a scientist at Oscorp when I worked there.
It's weird that Max remembers Kurt when nobody else who watched that movie does.
Last I recall, you had bad teeth, glasses, and a comb-over.
How the hell would Connors know what Max originally looked like? The whole point was that no one knew who he was, and by the time he gained infamy, he was stuck looking like a zappy Navi.
I couldn't do any of this without you, so thank you.
Except you absolutely could. And even a Bing search would have yielded similar results. I get the intent here, and Spider Silk does conduct electricity, but there's no way this is a long-term fix, right? This is all still going to need proper repairing, and leaving all this webbing here will definitely land the blame at his feet. And being free from blame was the whole reason he did this in the first place.
I had him by the throat, and then
Doc Ock and Electro both talk about how they were about to die, killing Spider-Man, setting the foundation for this movie's Rehab the Villain's story. But the movie seems to forget that several of the villains already had redemptive arcs. Doc Ock snapped out of it when Peter electrocuted him in the first movie, and he died trying to destroy his machine. Sandman had a huge redemptive arc in Spider-Man 3 and left the movie peacefully. Connors was cured at the end of The Amazing Spider-Man and even tried to protect Peter in the end credits scene. Even if the villains as portrayed here don't know their fates, giving them a magic cure-all ruins the redemptive arcs they've already achieved. Also, we don't hear any of the other stories about what the other villains were doing when they got sent here. We're supposed to assume they were all whisked away when they were fighting Spider-Man and about to die. How the f*** was Dr. Strange's spell that oddly specific?
What is that?
It's an ancient relic, the Machina de Cadavis.
The Ex-Cadabra Machina? Really?
Strange. We can't send them back. Not yet.
How does Peter not see this as something that has to happen, and as soon as possible? How does one guilt trip from Aunt May convince him that f***ing the entire multiverse is the right course here?
In the grand calculus of the multiverse, their sacrifice means infinitely more than their lives.
How the f*** do you know that? You just said earlier that nobody even really knows anything about the multiverse. Now you're talking about the grand calculus of the multiverse like you're God's will hunting.
I'm sorry, kid. If they die, they die.
Looks like Dr. Strange went to the Ivan Drago School of Perishing Things. Also, knowing that Peter already f***ed the spell up earlier, Strange continues with his ritual while Peter and his friends are in the same room. A button presents itself so that Strange can reverse the spell, and he waits. I guess the ritual demands a dramatic pause for it to work.
How are you doing that?
I have no idea.
You should not be able to do that.
No explanation is given for this. Why doesn't Strange keep using transporty loops in order to stop Peter swinging away? Why risk losing sight of it? In fact, why not teleport him straight into one of the cages in the dungeon?
What is this place?
The mirror dimension, where I'm in control.
Honestly, this Doctor Strange vs. Spider-Man mini-Civil War shouldn't even be a challenge, but Spidey somehow comes out on top in the end.
Parker, don't you realize that in the multiverse there are an infinite number of people who know Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and if that spell gets loose, they're all coming here.
Do you want Dane DeHaan to come here? Because that's how you get Dane DeHaan.
You know what's cooler than magic? Math.
Fine, I'll buy that Peter somehow uses his Parker prescience combined with geometry to figure out how to pull this off. But why does that immediately mute Strange's ability to bend this dimension to his will?
I can't promise you guys anything, but at least this way you actually get to go home and have a chance.
Let's talk about the villain's plan here. Yes, villain. Multiverse f***ry aside, what does Parker expect the outcome to be? Regardless of whether they're evil or not, they are still going to be sent back, supposedly, to the moments of their death. Even if they find a way around that, they still have to convince their universes that they aren't evil anymore. And if that works, they'll still be doing time for the crimes they've already committed. How does this ever have a happy ending?
If something bad happens, I'll text you, and then you just push this.
Why not have the box nearby in case you can't text her? You made a huge deal about needing MJ and Ned for your multiversal villain search.
search, and all you did was make them surf the web. And you're about to bring villains around Aunt May and not give it a second thought.
But Peter, I swear, if I don't hear from you, I'm pressing the button.
You want to put some kind of time frame on that? Or secret signal? Or anything? No? Just gonna leave it as vague and as open to interpretation as possible. Sweet!
Where's Connors? He told me he wants to stay in the truck.
I'm sure he wants all sorts of things, but why are we leaving the murdery lizard man unattended? Peter does know that the anti-eviling hasn't happened yet, right?
It's a fabricator. It can analyze, design, construct basically anything.
Literally anything the plot desires. Man, it is damn hard to stay invested when the writers are so willing to lean on the Stark built-it cliche whenever they need a very specific piece of tech to move the plot along.
Kind of like who I am here.
Oh, does that mean in this universe you never did stealth?
How'd you end up like that anyway?
Periodically, the movie's momentum will come to a grinding halt as we get the condensed version of 5 other Spider-Man films. The problem is, it's so condensed that it doesn't really help anyone that hasn't seen the movies, but is obvious enough to be tedious to anyone that has.
The place where I worked at.
Dr. Connors mentioned that Max worked at Oscorp earlier, but it's weird that Max doesn't mention it by name here, and doesn't seem all that interested in the differences between the Willem Dafoe Norman Osborn and the short-lived Chris Cooper version from his world.
That totally worked!
This is a problem that would likely take years, and you solve it in a couple hours by using this fabricator that is literally an electronic superhero. With this machine, Peter could probably cure cancer and solve all sorts of world problems, just like that Elysium machine or that tent in Harry Potter. We'd much rather leave it collecting dust until there's a really good use for it, curing villains in other universes of their evil.
Well, not all of the electricity. I mean, obviously you know that you need electricity for your brain to function. Your nervous system is... I'm not really sure why I'm explaining electricity to you.
Because someone seems to think this surface-level awkward repartee is funny enough to keep us engaged for 2.5 hours. It is not! But that doodad was at like 90%, so shouldn't Electro at least be a little weaker? Or does it charge up and then suck everything out on the last bar? If that's the case, why not charge it up and put it on him at the last second? Basically, this is one more MacGuffin thingy that will work or not work exactly how and when the plot needs it to.
Now I gotcha.
Got him how? He's getting his ass kicked. He looks heroic as right now. Plus, you're the only news channel with cameras on a battle between 4 super beings, and there is zero need to focus on making Peter look bad. Based on how easily Osborn and Parker are falling through these floors, I can only assume that Strange's spell had the bizarre side effect of turning this building into polystyrene.
It didn't work.
Because reasons. We're never told why this serum doesn't work, other than the movie needs May dead, because, well, reasons. Peter's crashed through several floors, and this goblin bomb blows him the hell up, but it's okay. He's got that incredible strength of a spider, infamous for their inability to be killed.
You did the right thing. They would have been killed.
First off, there are 3 villains who we know didn't die in their respective movies, but let's take it further. Sandman remembers Green Goblin and Doc Ock dying in his universe, but what if they're Green Goblin and Doc Ock from a completely different universe? Forget all the things that will make us have to take sense back, because it's much too late and we're too stubborn. We're talking about infinite universes and infinite versions, and nobody ever stopped to say, shh, we don't know shit about fucking anything to make an informed decision.
You have power. And with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
This rings so hollow in this film for a number of reasons, but mainly it's because we could reasonably argue that sending the villains back without rehab would have been the responsible thing to do. The only power Spider-Man has in this case is Stark tech that is magic. Interfering with a multiverse you know nothing about is irresponsible. Also, responsibility. Take your aunt to the hospital right now! Your Aunt May just got hit by Green Goblin's glider and tons of debris just seconds ago, and a bomb went off shortly thereafter. You're a dick, Peter.
Me?
I know movies need inciting incidents like this to motivate their protagonists, and naturally, the more traumatic the better, but it's beginning to feel like the only way Marvel knows how to do this is by taking an almost literal sledgehammer to a beloved character. We've seen it with Coulson, Frigga, Groot, Iron Man, Black Widow, Quicksilver, Yondu, Odin, T'Chaka, Gamora, Vision, Ajax. Holy shit, they really do this all the f***ing time.
Get him on the car now! Move!
How the f*** did Happy manage to drive right past whatever cordon had been set up by this SWAT team, and why didn't they immediately open fire on this sketchy-looking car storming into their active f***ing war zone? Why are we firing on Spider-Man? Why are we opening fire on anybody, you dicks?
When will people wake up and realize that everywhere Spider-Man goes, chaos and calamity ensue?
I still can't get on board with the argument that all this destruction and shit would be blamed on Spider-Man instead of the guy dropping the bombs, the giant lizard that threw him through the window, or the metal octopus man. This is like blaming paramedics for causing car crashes because they're always found at the scene. Quick question, do Ned or MJ have the same problem with Mysterio's fans that Peter does? Or are they just totally in the clear despite being very visible faces in that whole controversy? Ned can just stay at home without bricks getting thrown through the window from crazed Mysterio f***ers? Must be nice.
I'm gonna press it.
What? No,
I know he told me to wait, but...
No, what you actually said was...
But Peter, I swear, if I don't hear from you, I'm pressing the button.
Now, not only has that ship sailed, it's also towing the funeral barge carrying Aunt May's dead remains.
I just wish we could see him.
The sheer random chance that this movie relies on is unbelievable. The arrival of Garfield and Maguire only happens because A, Ned suddenly has a history of magic in the family, B, he steals the sling ring from Strange, C, keeps the damn thing on, and D, accidentally waves his hand around while making a wish to see Peter.
Peter!
Peter!
Why is the Garfield Peter just hanging out in a f***ing alley? I know the anticipated meeting between all the Spider-Men is a huge selling point for this movie, but they did it in this really passive way. Why don't they show up in the middle of an action scene?
But then yesterday, I was just here.
Yesterday? What is the nature of the containment that Dr. Strange put around the spell? He said he contained it, but apparently people are still slipping through the cracks somehow, in dramatically relevant order.
I don't carry an ID with me, you know, it kind of defeats the whole anonymous superhero thing.
Dude, of the 3 Spider-Mans, you are the worst at keeping your identity a secret. You have never given a shit about this, and you willingly stepped into a portal and removed your mask as soon as you could.
The superhero thing? Why'd you do that?
I was trying to see if you have the tingle thing.
Okay, the bread bit is pretty funny, but why does MJ find it so hard to believe this Spider-Man is Peter Parker? She knows the spell is pulling in people from different dimensions, so I feel like this was more about showing us Andrew Garfield doing spider things than it was about putting MJ at ease. And now here's the other asshole just wandering around in street clothes like he's just coming off a 16-hour session at Molly Bloom's poker game.
Wait, he's not your friend.
So wait, you know about the Spider-Man dynamics in this world, but you've just been hanging out until you saw a portal appear in front of you? These are the most worthless Spider-Men since that one that showed up as a villain in The Revenge of Shinobi. I really have no idea why the Garfield Spider-Man starts shooting webs at the Maguire one. Did either of them get spider sense when they saw the other? Do either of them seem threatening? Why does everybody make uninformed decisions in this movie?
This might seem kind of weird, but I've been trying to find your friend ever since I got here.
To make matters worse, all the aforementioned conveniences are totally unnecessary. Both of them were on their way to find this universe's Spider-Man regardless, and convinced they just had no idea what to do with MJ and Ned in this movie.
I just have this sense that he needs my help.
But I totally didn't get the sense that there was any trouble happening in Happy's apartment building a couple hours ago. I completely whiffed on all that commotion. Too busy waiting for my cue.
There's some people here.
They're hanging out super high up on this tower because why would they do anything f***ing normal like simply walk up and greet you like fellow humans? Jesus Christ, for a minute there, I thought these Spider-Men were going to turn into Zool and Vince Clortho.
My Uncle Ben was killed. I lost Gwen.
Dude, you lost your Uncle Ben too. Are you even going to acknowledge that?
Try to keep going, try to keep being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, because I know that's what she would have wanted.
No, I'm pretty sure what Gwen would have wanted was a chance to pursue that scholarship at Oxford.
At some point, I stopped pulling my punches. I got rageful.
Peter describes a post-Amazing Spider-Man 2 life that I'm absolutely certain a bunch of bros are going to demand now that they've forgotten they hated the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. Also, isn't it kind of strange that Electro got sent here just before he died, but Peter got sent here in what we have to assume is years after his confrontation with Electro?
I hunted down the man who I thought did it. I wanted him dead. I got what I wanted.
I'm just going to leave it there. No need to provide further context that guy tripped over some weird pipe and fell out a window. It's a better story if you think I'm a murdering asshole.
It took me a long time to learn to get through that darkness.
You know, you just dance around Manhattan, pointing and leering at chicks while James Brown plays in the background.
I think I can make an anti-serum for Dr. Osborn. Been thinking about it a long time.
Oh, no, you haven't.
You have someone?
Bloop.
Peter!
Yeah? Oh, sorry. Did you mean?
Okay. It would have been pretty shocking to get 3 Spider-Men on screen and not do the 3-way Spider-Man meet. And there are certainly more distracting ways they could have chosen to do it. Take your sins back, movie, but you're walking a fine line between cool nod and pandering.
We could portal there.
What?
I'm magic now.
It'd be great if you guys practiced a bit first, but instead of doing that, you'll just jump right into the plan without testing it even once.
Okay, guys, it could be any minute now.
I mean, presuming that Electro, Goblin, Sandman, and the sewer-dwelling lizard are all waiting by a TV that's tuned into the Daily Bugle, it's gonna take hours or never.
You never had a web block? Because I run out of webs all the time. I have to make my own in a lab.
This whole scene on the top of the Statue of Liberty is funny and all, but it plays like some sort of 3-minute video you run across while scrolling through Twitter when you find out that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland got together for, I don't know, Crohn's disease awareness or something, and decided to do this for charity, and Josh Gad is there for some reason.
What are, like, some of the craziest villains that you guys have fought?
The other Peters will go on to describe Venom and the Rhino, 2 villains we've already seen. Why not use this opportunity to include the f***ing audience in the fun and tell us some shit we haven't seen?
Look, you give it to me, I'm gonna destroy it.
What's stopping him from destroying it now? Zap it already. You don't need him to f***ing give it to you. Ned can't close the portal, even though he had to have done it earlier after the other Peters came through. Or did he? Are there portals still open in Ned's grandmother's house?
I need Max's cure!
Yeah, I'm on it!
Peter, I need the lizard cure!
Just wondering, why didn't they make several different sets of these serums for each Spider-Man to have, and some spares? The fabricator machine is a goddamn miracle, so this would have been easy to do. Also, the fate of multiple universes rests on this plan working, and somehow they didn't talk about how they were going to retrieve the villain cures once they were stashed away. Why bother stashing them in the first place? I mean, this one is barely even hidden. Why not strap it to your damn leg with some web?
Where's the box, Peter?
Flint, we can help everyone.
I don't care!
Wait, doesn't Sandman want to get back to his universe and get a shot at seeing his daughter? Heck, Peter is even giving him a chance to be human again. To be honest, I don't really understand why anyone's fighting anyone right now, but Sandman's motivations are the most baffling by far.
All we gotta do is focus, trust your tingle, and coordinate our attacks.
By saying it, we can make it happen with no practice whatsoever. It's how the New York Mets won in 1986. Also, they had all sorts of time to plan. It's not like the villains were going to imminently start destroying things, because they know they'd get zapped back to their dimensions if they did that. So honestly, they had lots of time to plan this out and do this right, and decided to do a rush job like it's Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Okay, Peter 1, Peter 2.
Peter 2.
Peter 3.
Peter 3!
Andrew Garfield is the best.
Peter 2, go right. Peter 3, go left. On me.
The other thing about this plan to attack each villain one at a time is that the villains have been super helpful about that. Electro looks absolutely lost for some reason, showing up here just before they cure Sandman and then inexplicably vanishes from the action until the movie is ready for him again. And where is Green Goblin? He's at home, washing his tights. Honestly don't know what Doc Ock has been doing the whole time, but wow, what amazing timing he has, showing up when all seemed lost.
There's gotta be a black Spider-Man somewhere out there.
Movie somehow does not contain a Miles Morales.
You're all grown up. How are you?
Good of Green Goblin to delay his appearance this long so that Otto and Peter can have this moment. By the way, is anyone on the lookout for him? Anyone worried?
Can the Spider-Man come out to play?
Oh, f*** you, Green Goblin, I'm over it. You could have been here way earlier and you weren't. And I have absolutely no faith that you can take on 3 Spider-Men, Otto, and Doctor Strange by yourself.
Are you okay?
Okay, alright, I'll give you sin off for that. Goblin just stands there and lets Peter pull this as if he hasn't got a clue he's there. Where is he even flying to? Peter shoots Norman with one web on his foot and declares job over. He saw Norman get free from a web earlier, but that doesn't stop him from commencing with the punching. I'm sorry, but this intervention doesn't mean Peter 1 is a murderer. He had committed to decapitating Osborn with his own sled. And Peter 2 stepping in at the last second to stop him doesn't change What it does is take away all of Peter 1's agency and rob us of knowing if he's actually experienced any growth from the last 2.5 hours. Hey, remember earlier when I said I was mad about Marvel killing off characters as a lazy way to build tension and empathy? Well, I think you can probably guess how I feel about pretending to kill a character for the same effect. It's about f***ing time. Andrew and Toby just sat there while Tom wailed on Willem, and they could have slipped him the serum during that bullshit 10 minutes ago.
But this time make everyone forget who Peter Parker is.
No.
But it would work, right?
Yeah, it would work.
How the f*** can that possibly work? The scope of that spell is mind-boggling. This means rewriting every interaction that Peter has ever had and retconning the memories of billions of people. Does Stark come to find him in Civil War? Does Aunt May just not have a nephew? How does she end up involved with Spider-Man? Does the memory of things people did with Peter have blurring or a photo of Mark Wahlberg's face taped over Tom Holland's?
Thank you, sir.
Call me Stephen.
Fitting that Stephen Strange pulls the full Snake Plissken just as everyone's memory of Peter is about to escape from New York. My God, man, I'm surprised Gandalf and Frodo don't show up to board the boat to the Grey Havens. This ending is so long.
Well, if he were a hero, he'd unmask himself and tell us who he really is.
No, seriously, I want to know what happened to the video from the call last night when Peter told J. Jonah he was on the Statue of Liberty. Did the video vanish? Are you going to deprive me of this video that now shows Mark Wahlberg's face taped over Tom Holland's? MJ's expression here is some absolute Holland-teasing bullshit. I don't even think she could see Ned when she started down the path of this wistful stare, and even if she had, there's no f***ing reason for her to be looking at Ned like she hasn't seen him in 5 years.
MIT, they're the engineers, the mascot.
Expositing to your friend instead of getting the order of the customer you just started serving. Putting a lid on a stranger's coffee in a way that means there is no f***ing chance of their lips touching something your fingers haven't.
Kind of expect disappointment.
Because then you'll never actually be disappointed.
Why is MJ so shocked by Peter's reply? This is a pretty common expression, right? This feels like saying knock knock and being surprised when someone says who's there.
Doesn't really hurt anymore.
Do Ned and MJ constantly ask themselves why they were at the Statue of Liberty the night 3 Spider-Men attacked villains from different universes? We know that still happened because J. Jonah Jameson was yelling about it earlier. Speaking of which, does anybody ask themselves why 3 Spider-Men were at the Statue of Liberty?
How'd you know her?
You see, this to me is the huge contradiction in somehow not remembering Peter. What's happening to Happy's memory? Does he vaguely remember someone talking to MJ over FaceTime? Or do I have to bring up Mark Wahlberg's name again? If I say his name one more time, he appears in my house and eats my leftovers, so someone needs to answer this question already.
You're saying that this whole place here, it's just tons of super people.
Is this movie trying to say that Venom was brought here by the Doctor Strange spell? When did the Tom Hardy Venom know Peter was Spider-Man? Is this supposed to be the Topher Grace Venom, but with Tom Hardy? What the fucking is the meaning of this? Not content with simple scenes that tease movies that act as trailers, Marvel puts an actual goddamn trailer for Doctor Strange 2 at the end of this movie. 58 seconds of Into the Logoverse.
All right, let's do this one last time.
Clever narration harkening back to almost every superhero reboot. Having to have an origin story is still fucking narration, and it's still a fucking origin story. So, double sins.
I'm a comic book, I'm a cereal, did a Christmas album.
At this point, can we make meta humor a sin? Because it feels like we should be able to. Also, why are the generic cereals always ending with O's? Especially when Spidey Snacks, Spidey Flakes, and Spidey Grams are still on the table.
Because the only thing standing between this city and oblivion is me.
Frighteningly, roughly 11,000 New Yorkers say this to themselves every morning, including but not limited to the mayor, the DA, random aggressive cops, deluded artists, corrupt hot dog vendors, and Howard Stern. Sony headphones is only the first of many Sony product placements in this otherwise artistically original film. Look, I get this is the style of animation that the movie is using to make it stand out, feel more authentically like a comic book or whatever. But that doesn't make it any less irritating that the first time I saw this, I spent 20 minutes of the movie trying to figure out if it was on purpose or if the theater employees were too busy jerking off in people's popcorn to pay attention to the presentation of the film. And even when I realized it was on purpose, I then spent 20 more minutes trying to figure out why my popcorn tasted a little extra salty.
I want to hear it.
You want to hear
I
me
love
say it?
you, Dad.
Hilarious moment, and it shows how much he loves Miles. But it also devastates Miles' reputation at this school. What is up with these cones in this unused closest lane? People are dropping kids off in lane 2, outside the cones. Are we just shutting down lanes of traffic this morning because it goes near a school? This 5 seconds of montage alone should convince every American that we are putting too much pressure on our young students. Christ.
I don't think I've seen you before.
Since we find out this Gwen Stacy is from another universe, how exactly did she get into this prestigious private school? It doesn't factor in at all to her mission or reason for being there. Why would she even try to get in? Jesus Christ, is it possible to have too many references to Spider-Man in a Spider-Man movie? This movie is pointing a pretty big arrow to yes.
Find that girl. We walk up to her and be like, hey.
You serious, Uncle Aaron?
Do not do this. This is tragically bad advice.
Nah, I can't.
Character insists they can't do a thing over and over only to ultimately do that very thing cliche. My biggest problem with this time lapse is that Miles' roommate apparently needs 2 PC screens, a separate laptop, and a phone, all operating at once, at like 3 in the morning. This guy is either mining Bitcoin or he's mining Bitcoin.
I'm not going through puberty. I did, but I'm done.
Movie was clearly spying on my middle school interactions with girls.
I'm Gwenda.
Why wouldn't she just say her name was Gwen, or whatever name she used to get into this school? Movie not being able to resist a moment this sitcom deserves a sin.
It's just puberty.
I don't think you know what puberty is.
Gwanda would be excellent at CinemaSins. Somehow, Miles' sticky spider hands rip a sticky spider hand-shaped amount of her hair off her head. And no one is going to question the stickiness of Miles' hands? I know why she isn't, but everyone else should be really curious about what's going on here. How exactly did he get all of Gwen's hair from the previous shot off of his hand? Narcs. How is it possible that Gwen is the only one looking up at this moment to see this?
Why is this happening? Please stop sticking.
Convenient comic book page placement is convenient. Where did the Green Goblin even go? It's not as if Spider-Man incapacitated him. He just swung down to help Miles. Is that f***ing Tombstone? God, I love that this movie is bringing out these great underrated characters like Tombstone and the Prowler and putting them on the big screen for the first time. That deserves a send-off. Kingpin survives this.
Get that thing ready to go again, and soon.
King how? It was destroyed. It'd be faster to build a new one from scratch. Maybe turn the flashlight off. Look at the center lines of this road and then the cars parked along the right. There is no room for cars to drive in this lane, which means this street is too f***ing narrow, or else all these cars are about to get towed for parking illegally. Also, there is a meats to eat on both sides of this street. NYCers must f***ing love them some meats to eat.
Yeah, I think it's a Banksy.
Banksy. Okay, I gotta read these comics so I can learn how to be a Spider-Man, so definitely the best place for that is a dark alley. Okay, look, if they buried Spider-Man in a public cemetery, and they allowed people to visit it and drop off trinkets and flowers, then A, it would still be f***ing overrun with people, since he literally just died, and B, there would be way the hell more trinkets and flowers here.
She wanted kids, and it scared me.
As it f***ing should. Who knows what that spider DNA mixed with human DNA would give birth to? You could end up with Eric Stoltz in The Fly, too. This whole sequence is fun and neat to look at. I mean it, but it's just covering up a super dump of exposition. The snowman head was a good gag, but there's no way it would stay on this long. Not a costume. It was literally a ball of snow. They were just making fat jokes about his gut a minute ago, but now he looks pretty in shape. Actually, Lady Doc Ock is about to make some more jokes about his gut, but my point is that the movie draws the gut only when it needs it. Considering how many times Kingpin has had to go up against Spider-Man, I would think think Alchemax would have some exterior cameras pointing up to catch moments just like this. And I guess I would be wrong, but that doesn't make it any less stupid.
Look at this data.
Okay, just a second ago, this is how far above Kingpin the vent was. Then Miles bumps into Peter, Bob's your uncle, and now they're 3 times closer? Dr. and Mrs. Peripheral Vision here.
Remember this password, capital DGFAMP.
That password is way longer than the one Liv typed in a second ago.
And obviously you've been glitching.
Glitching? No.
Well, someone saw Wreck-It Ralph.
Let me tell you the good news. We don't need the monitor.
They told me about the visuals, they told me about the voice work, they even told me about the fresh original story, but they did not prepare me for how funny this was gonna be, and that's a sin for they.
Is there something you want to say to me?
How come he only ever glitches when it's super inconvenient or when he's talking about glitching?
Who did that?
Spider-Gwen Ex Machina.
I joined a band. Saved my dad.
Bruce Wayne, eat your heart out. Long after the dust has settled and the newness has worn off, people will still regard this film as fucking fantastic. But I personally will still be trying to point out to people how it's like 25% expositional character introductions, because I'm a dickhead.
My spider sense told me to head to Vision's Academy. Wasn't sure why until I met you.
But since Gwen was in the class Miles showed up late for, that means she was there before he was bitten by the spider. So why would her spider sense tell her to go there? Do these abilities spider sense destiny now? The flashbacks of Kingpin's loved ones, which is also just another rapid-fire exposition dump in a movie full of them, would get more emotions out of me if they dialed back a bit on the Kingpin is comically large and his head is located where most folks' sternums would be. I'm not sure how this action prevents Tombstone from still shooting the guns at Liv, since they're still clearly pointed at her.
I mean, this place is pretentious.
And also, just another Batcave.
You might need these.
If the other spider people have been here the whole time, then why is the spider sense just now lighting up?
I just washed my hands. That's why they're wet. No other reason.
Well, we finally got to a joke in this movie that falls completely flat for me. He might be a real canonical character, but this is like Popeye showing up in the middle of The Incredibles.
Sometimes I let matches burn down to my fingertips just to feel something, anything.
This noir Penny Ham introduction sequence feels like one of those SNL sketches where they do celebrity impressions and give us fake auditions for famous movies.
How did you get here?
The hell? Same as you. Why are you asking this?
Look, I made a promise, so I have to keep it.
Promises to dead people aren't all that important, man. I promised my grandfather that I would never forget him, but I already don't remember his name. I think it was Grandpa. See, no one cares.
Can you swing and flip with the grace of a trained dancer?
Do your ears hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie them in a knot? Can you tie them in a bow?
Come on, Miles, get up. You need to be more honest with yourself about this.
After a test that lasted less than 2 minutes? At least give him a day. Jesus. The one thing I will always never understand about these parallel dimension films is the insistence on having everything be the exact f***ing same, with maybe one word change. Like that red X truck in the background. Red X? Really? It's more likely that there's a FedEx in this universe than that there's a red X. In recreating the magic thumb drive that kills the Collider, the specifics of which this movie has yada yada to hell and back, they took the time to laser etch a spider logo on it. Because reasons.
You gotta go, man.
This movie rules, but literally everything in it is happening too fast. Despite the fact that Miles is wearing a cheap Halloween costume, it remains completely unshredded after he was dragged across a roof.
No, Miles. I'm sorry. You're on your way. Just keep going.
Does every incarnation of Spider-Man have to lose a beloved uncle?
What about MJ?
Well, that new documentary really did a number on his popularity. And honestly, you meant Mary Jane, right? Well, several states have legalized it, and 24 have made it legal for medicinal purposes. But there's still a long way to, you meant Mary Jane the person, didn't you?
Look, I know how much you want this kid.
All these spider dicks teaming up to prevent Miles from taking part in the climax because they want to protect him? Assholes!
Took you long enough.
It took you long enough, cliche. God damn, this movie has momentum and an understanding of comic books never before demonstrated by any movie adaptation that came before. This is a fun figuring out the powers scene, but there is a timetable, right? You're telling me he's had time to get to Aunt May's, spray paint the suit, let it dry, and do this montage before they could get to the Collider and send everyone home? Are they still taking the bus just for comedy now? Boy, they sure did clean up the mess of that last Collider accident and build a new machine in a f***ing hurry. Like 2 days? I think it was 2 days. That's so amazing I'm willing to call bullshit. They do this ceiling hiding trick a lot, and usually I let it go. But there's f***ing 5 of them, including a giant robot. And those ceilings aren't that high. There's zero chance Kingpin or the 2 guards didn't notice them before now. So we all realized that everyone in that building just got trans-dimensionalized and probably died a horrible, painful death. Just making sure everyone's good with that. This is kind of fun and all, but it's just Yoda fighting Dooku, right? One of the movie's only problems is sometimes leaving viewers with a bad case of what the f*** just happened-itis. At some point, this movie just said, f*** you logic and physics, and wants me to just roll with it. And for the most part, I can. Still a sin, but it's a fun sin. I'd be sad if this girl and her robot were more than glorified cameo characters.
I got the portal open. You first, Penny.
But how do they know they will each go back to their own dimension? Miles letting go of Peter here after both have finally understood their purpose? It won't be, but that was the superhero moment, not whatever ass-beating Miles does after this. Why would Vanessa and Richard start randomly appearing here? Like most superhero films, the final few minutes turn into one big animated ball of nonsense. As they fall through the, I guess, a scene from inner space, somehow Miles and his father are both still alive and both still in or on things that are intact, and can both see each other from this distance while falling into purgatory.
Hey, Kingpin! Push the green button for me!
This works. Miles' dad survives this.
Okay, let's do this one last time, yeah? For real this time.
If we have to. Okay, but I remember that scene on the bus. They weren't buddy-buddy, they just met. They were just getting to know each other. He said, if you ever decide to do friends again, I could open up a slot. And she awkwardly replied, I'll keep you posted. Now, is that the kind of conversation that ends with one of them saying, let's take a selfie together? Possible cannibalism.
Got a minute?
What is happening? Is he remembering her? Is she calling to him from another dimension? It's Gwen's voice, but I feel like I should know what this means, and I don't. This movie rules, and everyone that worked on it deserves mention, but this movie has 10 minutes of credits. That's excessive, especially when the movie is going to put an after-credits scene at the end.
Welcome to hell.
Computer salesman, computer engineer, computer analyst. My lord, even the computers need analysts these days.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
Tommy, how's the peeping? Tommy, how's the peeping?
Donald Redberry shot himself in 1980. Charles Boyer, 1978. Pills again. Charles Butterworth, 1946, I think. In a car. Supposedly it was an accident, but you know, he was distraught. Dorothy Dandridge, pills, 1965. Albert Decker, 1968. He hung himself. He wrote his suicide note in lipstick on his stomach.
He is the one.
Master's my friend. You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
How strange. There's nobody here.
Bit of a slob, isn't he?
All brilliant men are.
I'm in charge here! Oh, you're in charge. Well, I got some bad news for you. From up here, it doesn't look like you're in charge of Jack.
The man out there. He needs help.
Do not change the subject, Bob. We're discussing your attitude.
He is getting mugged.
My only love sprung from my only hate.
This is really heavy.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? Come on in, you're ready to see it. Take a seat, take a seat. You want something to drink? A pill, a little coke, a little dope, I got everything. You sure you want something?
No, thank you.
Okay. So, got something? Huh? We got something here? There it is. This is my dream, y'all. All this Look at my I got gold bullets. Look at my This ain't nothing. I got rooms of this I got my dark tannin oil. Lay out by the pool. Put on my dark tannin oil. My spaceship, USS Enterprise on this shit. I go to different planets on this mother. Me and my Franklin's here. We take off.
Must have the precious.
It's not about you, you mathematical dick.
I can change, I can change.
What if you remain a sandy little butthole?
There's a snake in my boots.
Why do we force? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
And that is the truth that you left behind. Right there in that bedroom.
bang, bang. Oh, oh, she got us, baby. Mom got us. Oh, I'm dying.
I'm dying.
You're mad at me.
Jed, you know what? I'm not your mommy.
Your father was a very secretive man.
Fullest.
I love science.
You love science.
I'm passionate about
They
it.
snuck it.
Because you're so into science.
Going out of the next stop.
First, we ride the Cyclone.
Do you know how easy this is for me?
I bring it. Come on, Parker. Come on.
Am I right or wrong? Yeah, I thought so.
Saigon. I'm still only in Saigon.
Parkour! Michael, parkour! Hey, watch out! I'm walking here!
I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? According to Cocteau's plan, I'm the enemy because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice.
How do you know my name?
It's me, Jessica!
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
This is what we call an orgy of evidence. Know how many orgies I had as a homicide cop? None.
Indian Golf 909 are transmitting in the blind guard. Disengage, repeat, disengage!
Hey. You kicked me off to boarding school when I was 11.
11?
I'll tell you everything I know.
First, the Earth cooled, and then the dinosaurs came.
Always money in a banana stand.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Hey, suit lady.
Yes.
I kind of feel bad calling you suit lady. I think I should probably give you a name.
Samantha.
Like Liz. No. What about Karen?
Samantha.
Peter. Don't tell Harry.
The world's changing. It's time we change too.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Damn.
Damn!
Excited about the science trip?
Hey, yeah, we're just talking about the trip.
You guys are losers.
But then why do you sit with us?
Because I don't have any friends. You should probably download a VPN on your phone just so that the government can't track you while we're abroad.
Will do.
She's got the crazy eyes.
I want to ride the pony.
Because I thought that was just theoretical. I mean, that completely changes how we understand the initial singularity.
The battle station is heavily shielded and carries a firepower greater than half the Starfleet.
I'm sorry, did you say Prague?
Oh, I've been to Prague. Well, I haven't been to Prague, but I know that thing. I know that stop shaving your armpits, read The Unbearable Lightness of Being, fall in love with a sculptor. Now I realize how bad American coffee is thing.
I'm Peter Parker.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Together we burn the village! Burn the village! And, raped the horses!
Then everyone will listen.
The King of the North!
The King of the North! The King of the North!
That's not how the spell works.
Once again, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
Everyone in the world's going to forget that you're Spider-Man, except your girlfriend.
Thank you so much.
I wish for a turkey sandwich on rye bread with lettuce and mustard. And I don't want any zombie turkeys. I don't want to turn into a turkey myself.
Steven, listen, I am so...
Call me Snake.
You know, I know a couple of magic words myself, starting with the word please.
Pretty please, with sugar on top. Clean the car.
I like the way you die, boy.
Hey, Peter.
What's happening?
You didn't see anything.
The Statue of Liberty? Good God, folks! What the shit? This is merely superconductor electromagnetism. Surely you've heard of it. Burn up!
Dr. Connors?
Thank you, God.
We were supposed to kill two birds with one stone, destroy a piece of corporate art, and trash a franchise coffee bar.
Did I do that?
Do you know how easy this is for me?
I know why you left.
Everyone knows why, and I told you why.
No, you said it was because of the TV. But I don't believe that.
I got some questions.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers?
Find that girl.
We walk up to her and be like, "How you doing?"
You're all going to die down here.
If you don't tell me your name, I'm gonna have to make one up. It's Diane Sawyer. Hello?
I'm gonna roll you into a little ball and shove you up my vagina.
Uncle Aaron, this is my fault.
I'm not your f***ing mommy.
Good job! Wait, what?